The Force had witnessed the birth and death of stars, the rise and fall of civilizations across 100,000 worlds, and the eternal dance between light and darkness that defined the galaxy. It was vast, infinite, and all-encompassing. A cosmic river that touched every living thing. But on this day, something entered that river which did not belong, something the Force could not touch, could not predict, could not comprehend. High above Coruscant's endless cityscape, reality tore. It began as a shimmer, a distortion in the afternoon sky that caught the attention of traffic controllers in the upper commercial zone. Then the shimmer became a crack, and the crack became a wound of swirling colors that had no name in any language spoken in the galaxy. Lightning that wasn't lightning arced outward in impossible geometries. Space itself screamed, and through that wound in the universe, they fell. 12 figures plummeted through Coruscant's atmosphere, trailing energy signatures that scrambled every sensor within 50 kilometers. On the ground, billions looked up. In the Jedi Temple, every Force-sensitive being gasped simultaneously as if the galaxy itself had flinched. Master Yoda's meditation chamber was silent except for the gentle hum of the city outside. The ancient Jedi sat perfectly still, his eyes closed, his breathing measured. Then his eyes snapped open, ears flattening against his skull. "Impossible," he whispered. Throughout the temple, emergency alarms began wailing. Jedi scrambled from training rooms and meditation chambers, hands instinctively moving to lightsabers. In the war room, holographic displays exploded with alerts. Master Mace Windu burst through the doors, his expression grim. "We have an unidentified atmospheric breach in Sector 7, a clone commander reported, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Energy readings are masters. We've never seen anything like this. 12 distinct signatures, none matching any known technology or Force presence. They're descending rapidly toward the lower industrial district." "Dispatch squadrons," Mace commanded. "Lat gunships, full complement. I want containment, not engagement. And get me the Chancellor is already calling," another officer interrupted, gesturing to a flashing comm panel. Mace's jaw tightened. Of course, Palpatine would want immediate information. "Tell him we're investigating. No details until we know what we're dealing with." "Masters Windu and Yoda, with me you must come," Yoda said, rising from his meditation cushion with unusual urgency. "A disturbance in the Force, this is, but not of the Force." His gaze turned distant, troubled. "Outside the pattern these arrivals are, unseen by the Force yet undeniably real." "That's impossible," Mace said. "Everything is part of the Force." "Believed that? I did too." Yoda's voice carried a weight that silenced the entire room. "Wrong, we may have been." 5 kilometers above the industrial district, descending at terminal velocity, Rimuru Tempest was having what most people would consider a very bad day. One moment, he'd been in his office in Tempest, reviewing trade agreements with Dwargon. Veldora had burst in, as he always did, insisting they test the theoretical limits of spatial temporal manipulation because he'd read about it in one of his manga. Rimuru had agreed, mostly because refusing Veldora usually resulted in more property damage than just letting him have his fun. The experiment had gone spectacularly wrong. Now he was falling through the sky of a planet he didn't recognize, surrounded by flying vehicles that looked like something out of a science fiction holovid, while Raphael, his ultimate skill and most trusted advisor, worked at processing speeds that would make quantum computers weep. Notice, analysis of current dimension in progress. reality structure differs from cardinal world by approximately 47.3%. Fundamental laws adjusted. Magicule composition stable. All abilities functional. Warning, unknown energy signature detected. Classification pervasive, comparable to spiritual particle field. Designation unknown. That's actually good news, Rimuru thought as wind screamed past him. He'd shifted into his human form instinctively, a young man with blue hair and golden eyes dressed in his usual black jacket and formal attire. Around him, his companions were handling the fall with varying degrees of grace. Veldora was laughing, of course he was laughing. The true dragon had taken his humanoid form, a tall, handsome man with spiky blonde hair and elaborate clothing, and was treating the terminal velocity plunge like an amusement park ride. Rimuru, this is amazing! We've discovered interdimensional travel. Do you know what this means? It means we have no idea where we are, Rimuru shouted back over the wind. Minor details. Veldora spun in midair, his investigator skill apparently already cataloging everything. Look at this place. It's magnificent. A city planet. I've read about these. Oh, the culture I'll be able to study. Below them, Benimaru had already ignited flames around his body, controlling his descent. The crimson-haired Oni warrior looked more annoyed than concerned. Lord Rimuru, shall I handle first contact, or would you prefer a more diplomatic approach? Diplomatic, Rimuru called back. Definitely diplomatic. Diablo, please tell me you're not planning anything crazy. The Demon Lord Primordial appeared beside Rimuru as if teleporting, his black butler suit immaculate despite the descent, his golden eyes gleaming with barely contained excitement. My lord, you wound me. I am the very soul of restraint and propriety. That's what worries me. Xion was already drawing her sword, her purple hair whipping wildly. If anyone attacks Lord Rimuru, I'll cut this entire city in half. Please don't cut the city in half, Rimuru pleaded. Ranga, his faithful Tempest wolf companion, had grown to his massive form, easily large enough to carry several people. Gobta rode on his back, looking distinctly green. Boss, I think I'm gonna be sick. Hakaru, the elderly Oni swordmaster, descended with perfect poise, as if falling from the sky was merely an afternoon stroll. Shuna, the gentle princess of the ogres, floated down gracefully on a cushion of air magic. Soe simply vanished and reappeared closer to the ground. The ninja never did anything the conventional way. Geld, the stoic orc disaster, fell in disciplined silence, already scanning for threats. Notice, approaching ground level, multiple aerial vehicles converging on projected landing coordinates. Biological signatures detected, 147 distinct individuals. Energy weapons detected. Recommend non-lethal defensive posture. Right, let's not start an interdimensional incident by accidentally killing the locals. Rimuru activated his magic, creating a massive cushion of compressed air to slow their descent. They touched down in what appeared to be an industrial loading zone. Massive warehouses surrounded them, and the sky above was crisscrossed with speeder traffic. Before the dust had settled, they were surrounded. Military transports descended with practiced precision. Armored soldiers in white, very white armor, deployed with textbook efficiency, establishing a perimeter. But what caught Rimuru's attention were the other arrivals. 4 figures descended from a sleek shuttle, and the moment Rimuru saw them, Raphael's analysis kicked into overdrive. They wore robes in earth tones, brown and tan, and each carried a cylindrical device at their belt. But it was the energy around them that made Rimuru's senses sharp. That pervasive field Raphael had detected earlier was concentrated around these four, flowing through them, responding to them. The leader was a dark-skinned man with a stern, dignified bearing. Beside him stood a shorter, elderly figure with green skin, long ears, and eyes that seemed to look right through Rimuru's physical form. The other two were younger, one a Togruta woman with distinctive headtails, and the other a young man with sandy hair and a mechanical hand. Notice: analyzing energy signatures. Unknown energy field designated the Force. Properties similar to spiritual particle manipulation. Difference: external source, not internal generation. Subjects classified as Force sensitive. Threat level: moderate to high, depending on skill application. The dark-skinned man stepped forward, one hand resting near that cylindrical device. When he spoke, his voice carried absolute authority. "I am Mace Windu, Master of the Jedi Order. In the name of the Galactic Republic, you are hereby detained pending investigation of illegal atmospheric entry and possession of unregistered technology." His eyes narrowed. "Identify yourselves, now." Rimuru raised his hands in a peaceful gesture, putting on his best diplomatic smile. He'd dealt with suspicious authorities before. This was just another day in nation building. "I apologize for the dramatic entrance. My name is Rimuru Tempest, and these are my companions. We mean no harm to you or your republic. In fact, we're probably just as confused as you are about how we got here." Confused? The elderly green alien, Yoda, his mind supplied from somewhere, stepped forward, leaning on a gnarled walking stick. Those ancient eyes studied Rimuru with an intensity that would have made most people flinch. "In the Force, you do not exist. See you, I can. Touch you with the Force, I cannot. Impossible this is, yet here you stand." Notice: Subject Yoda attempting to interface with analysis subject via the Force. Connection attempt failed. Subject cannot perceive analysis subject through Force-based senses. So they use this Force to sense things, and we're completely invisible to it, Rimuru realized. That's going to make them very nervous. "Perhaps we could discuss this somewhere more comfortable," Rimuru suggested. "I assure you, we have no hostile intentions. We're not even from this galaxy. Actually, we're not from this universe. There was an accident with experimental magic and..." "Magic?" The young man, Anakin something whispered, looked skeptical. "There's no such thing as magic. Only the Force and technology." Veldora laughed, a sound that echoed off the warehouse walls. "Oh, this is delightful. They don't have magic. Rimuru, they don't have magic. This universe developed entirely differently." Diablo stepped forward, and every Jedi's hand went to their lightsabers. The demon's presence was unsettling. Even without the Force to sense him, something about him screamed danger on a primal level. "My master speaks truthfully," Diablo said, his voice smooth as silk and twice as deadly. "We are travelers from another plane of existence. We have no quarrel with your republic." He said the word as if tasting it, finding it mildly amusing. "However, I must warn you that any aggressive action toward Lord Rimuru will result in consequences most severe." "Is that a threat?" Mace's hand gripped his lightsaber. "Merely a statement of fact," Diablo replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Everyone stand down," Rimuru commanded, and his companions immediately relaxed, though Shion looked disappointed. He turned back to the Jedi, reading the situation carefully. These were warriors, yes, but also peacekeepers. They were confused, wary, but not immediately hostile. He could work with that. "Master Windu, Master Yoda," Rimuru said, inclining his head respectfully. "I understand this situation is unprecedented. You have questions. We have questions. But I promise you, on my honor as the leader of the Rimuru Tempest Federation, we did not come here to cause trouble. Let us talk. That's all I ask." Yoda and Mace exchanged glances. Something passed between them. Communication through that force of theirs, perhaps. Finally, Yoda nodded slowly. "To the temple, bring them we shall. Under guard, yes, but speak we will." Those ancient eyes fixed on Rimuru again. Much to discuss there is, and clouded the future has become. Your arrival, foreseen it was not. What that means, discover we must. As clone troopers moved to escort them, Rimuru caught sight of something that made his instincts prickle. High above, on a distant tower, observation equipment tracked their every move. And behind those sensors, he sensed something watching. Something wrong. Notice, anomalous energy signature detected. Distance, 7.3 kilometers. Coordinates, Senate District. Classification, similar to Force energy but corrupted. Analyzing, warning, hostile intent detected. Rimuru filed that information away. They'd just arrived, and already something was paying very close attention to them. Something that radiated malevolence so thick even Raphael could taste it. One problem at a time, he thought as they were loaded into Republic transports. First, convince these Jedi we're not a threat. Then figure out what that darkness is. Beside him, Diablo leaned in, his voice barely a whisper. "My lord, there is something foul in this city, a corruption that hides in plain sight. Shall I investigate?" "Not yet," Rimuru murmured back. "Let's see what the Jedi know first, but stay alert. Something tells me we've landed in the middle of something very, very complicated." As their transport lifted off toward the massive temple complex in the distance, Rimuru looked out at the endless city sprawling beneath them. Somewhere in this galaxy, in this universe so different from his own, answers waited. And if Raphael's analysis was correct, they'd arrived at exactly the right time. Or perhaps the worst possible time. The Force could not see them coming, which meant whoever was hiding in the shadows of this republic couldn't either. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The Jedi Temple dominated Coruscant's landscape like a monument to an age slowly dying. 5 elegant spires reached toward the sky, casting long shadows across the Senate District as the sun began its descent. Inside the temple's main council chamber, tension hung thick enough to cut with a lightsaber. Rimuru stood at the center of the circular room, his companions arrayed behind him in a loose formation. 12 Jedi Masters occupied seats arranged in a circle around them, their expressions ranging from cautious curiosity to outright suspicion. Clone troopers stood at every entrance, their DC-15 blasters held at ready positions. Master Windu sat with his arms crossed, his gaze never leaving Rimuru. "You claim to be from another universe. Prove it." "How would you like me to prove it?" Rimuru asked reasonably. "I'm open to suggestions, but I'm not sure what evidence would satisfy you. We don't exactly have interdimensional passports." Notice, scanning chamber occupants, detecting 47 distinct life signs, 12 high-concentration force signatures, 35 standard biological readings, architectural analysis 89.3% complete, historical data insufficient, recommendation, gather information through diplomatic exchange. Master Plo Koon leaned forward, his masked face unreadable. You say you arrived through a magical accident, yet our instruments detected no hyperspace signature, no engine trails, no technology of any kind, just raw energy we cannot classify. That's because it's not technology, Veldora interjected cheerfully, earning a sharp look from Benimaru. The true dragon was examining the chamber with undisguised fascination, occasionally poking at the walls and furniture. It's magicules, the fundamental spiritual particles that compose magical energy in our universe, completely different from whatever this force thing is you keep mentioning. Magicules. Master Kiadimundi's elongated head tilted thoughtfully. You speak of this as if it's scientific fact, not mysticism. Because it is, Shuna spoke up, her gentle voice carrying surprising authority. In our world, magic is as fundamental as gravity or electromagnetism. It can be measured, studied, and mastered through discipline and understanding. Lord Rimuru is one of the most accomplished magic users in our universe. Yoda tapped his Geimer stick against the floor, the sound echoing through the chamber. Sense you through the force we cannot. A void where you stand, there is. Disturbing this is. In all my years. He paused, and those ancient eyes seemed to look through centuries of memory. Never encountered such a thing have I. Anakin Skywalker stood near one of the viewing windows, his arms crossed, mechanical hand tapping against his bicep. The Togruta woman, Ahsoka Tano, Rimuru had learned, stood beside him, her blue eyes fixed on the newcomers with keen interest. Maybe they're using some kind of force suppression technology, Anakin suggested. The Separatists have been developing. No. Yoda's interruption was absolute. Technology, this is not. In the Force itself, a blind spot they create, present yet absent, paradox made flesh. Rimuru decided it was time to be more forthcoming. He'd dealt with enough suspicious councils in his own world to know when honest transparency was the best policy. Master Yoda, Masters of the Council, I understand your concern. In your position, I'd be suspicious too, but let me be completely clear about what we are and why we're here. Or rather, why we're here even though we didn't mean to be. He gestured to his companions. We're leaders and warriors from a nation called the Rimuru Tempest Federation. In our world, I'm a demon lord. Several Jedi hands went to lightsabers, which isn't evil despite the name. It's a classification of power level. Think of it as a title for beings who've evolved beyond normal limitations. Notice, hostile intent increased by 23% following designation Demon Lord. Recommend clarification of terminology. Our universe operates on different principles than yours. Rimuru continued quickly. We have souls that generate internal energy, magicules. We use that energy to perform what you might call impossible feats, manipulating elements, altering space, enhancing physical abilities, even resurrection under certain conditions. Resurrection, Mace's voice was sharp. That's impossible in your universe, yes, Rimuru acknowledged. I'm beginning to understand that. Your force seems to be an external energy field that you connect to and channel. Our magic is generated internally, from our souls themselves. We're fundamentally different systems. Diablo stepped forward with fluid grace, and immediately the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Several Jedi Masters shifted uncomfortably. If I may, my lord. At Rimuru's nod, Diablo addressed the council directly. You speak of the Force as something that connects all living things, yes? A cosmic energy that flows through the galaxy. He didn't wait for confirmation. We possess no connection to this Force. Therefore, to your senses, we are ghosts, present yet undetectable. It must be quite disconcerting. Disconcerting doesn't begin to cover it, Obi-Wan Kenobi muttered from his position near the window. Hakuryu, who had been silent until now, spoke with the measured cadence of a seasoned warrior and teacher. Young Jedi, I have trained swordsmen for over a century. I recognize the discipline in your stances, the control in your breathing. You are warriors who have mastered both body and spirit. We are not so different. You're over a century old? Ahsoka blurted out, then blushed. Sorry, Master Windu, I didn't mean to. It's all right, Ahsoka. Mace's stern expression softened slightly. He turned back to Rimuru. You still haven't explained how you arrived here. Dimensional travel isn't just advanced technology, it should be impossible. Veldora laughed again, that booming sound that made several Jedi wince. Yes, my fault entirely. You see, Rimuru and I were experimenting with combining spatial manipulation and temporal acceleration. The theory was that if we created a controlled dimensional fold at the precise moment of maximum magicule saturation. Veldora, Rimuru interrupted. Maybe the simplified version? Oh, right. We accidentally tore a hole in reality. Our universe's fabric and your universe's fabric happened to be adjacent at that moment. We fell through. It sealed behind us. Veldora grinned. Honestly, the probability of that working was so infinitesimally small that I hadn't even calculated it properly. So you're stranded here, Obi-Wan observed. Temporarily, Rimuru said, though even as he said it, he felt Raphael's uncertainty. Getting home wasn't going to be simple. We'll figure out a way back eventually, but in the meantime, we find ourselves in your galaxy, apparently during some kind of conflict. He'd noticed the military presence, the war room monitors they'd passed, the tension underlying every interaction. The Jedi exchanged glances. Yoda finally spoke. The Clone Wars, we fight. Against the Separatist Alliance, the Republic struggles. 3 years of conflict, countless worlds suffering. Dark times these are. Notice, analyzing statement, cross-referencing observed data. Conclusion, galaxy-wide military conflict in progress. Republic government structure identified. Democratic Federation under Chancellor. Opposition, Separatist movement. Military forces, Clone Army, Republic versus Droid Army, Separatists. Jedi role, military commanders and peacekeepers. Warning, complex political situation detected. A civil war, Rimuru said softly. He'd dealt with the Eastern Empire's invasion, the Tempest-Falmouth conflict, and countless political intrigues. War, unfortunately, was something he understood too well. And the Jedi serve as generals for the Republic? We are peacekeepers, Mace said, but there was something hollow in his voice. But yes, the Republic needed us. The Separatists threatened countless systems. We had no choice but to take up arms. Benamaru's eyes narrowed. A warrior forced to fight is still a warrior, but a peacekeeper forced to wage war. He shook his head. That is a contradiction that eats at the soul. You understand, Obi-Wan said quietly, surprise evident in his tone. We've faced similar circumstances, Shuna explained gently. Lord Rimuru built our nation on principles of peace and cooperation. But when threatened by larger powers, we had to defend ourselves. The guilt of taking lives, even in self-defense, never fully leaves. Rimuru felt the conversation shifting. The Jedi were starting to see them as people rather than anomalies. Good. But something was bothering him, something Raphael had flagged earlier. "Master Yoda, Master Windu, I need to ask something." Rimuru's tone became serious. "On our way here, my analytical skills detected something unusual. There's a corrupted energy signature in this city, concentrated in the Senate district. It feels similar to your force, but wrong somehow. Twisted." The room went absolutely silent. Every Jedi Master's expression transformed from wariness to shock. Mace Windu stood up slowly, his hand definitely on his lightsaber now. "What did you just say?" "There's a corruption in the Force," Rimuru repeated, confused by their reaction. "It's about 7 kilometers from here, northeast direction. Very powerful, very well hidden. But my ultimate skill, Raphael, can detect it clearly. It radiates malevolence, like concentrated evil trying to pretend it's not there." Yoda's ears dropped. He gripped his stick so hard his knuckles turned white. "Describe it, precisely." "Notice, accessing earlier scan data. Energy signature characteristics, dark side force energy, heavily cloaked. Concentration level, extreme. Source, single individual, humanoid. Location, Chancellor's private office. Current activity, observing this meeting through surveillance equipment." Rimuru felt his blood run cold as Raphael's analysis completed. "It's watching us," he said quietly. "Right now, through your security systems. This corruption, whatever it is, it's very interested in our arrival." Diablo's smile turned predatory. "Shall I pay them a visit, my lord? I do so enjoy introducing myself to those who spy on you." "No." Mace's command was absolute. He looked at Yoda and something passed between them, a conversation in seconds that spoke of deep concern and darker suspicions. "Not yet. Yoda, we need to convene an emergency session privately." "Agree." "I do." Yoda turned to Rimuru, and for the first time, there was something approaching respect in those ancient eyes. "Sense what we cannot, you can. Useful this may be, but dangerous as well. Lord Rimuru, answer me truthfully. The darkness you sense, could you find its source?" "Raphael already has," Rimuru admitted. "It's in the Senate building. Someone very powerful, very evil, and very good at hiding what they are." The implications crashed through the room like a thermal detonator. Anakin's face went pale. Obi-Wan's hand flew to his beard, stroking it in agitation. Mace looked like he'd been punched. "That's impossible," Anakin said. "The Senate is under constant surveillance. The Jedi Council would sense—" He stopped, understanding dawning in his eyes. Unless they were so skilled at hiding that even the Force couldn't detect them. "But these strangers could," Ahsoka finished, her head tails twitching, "because they're not using the Force to sense it." Soe materialized from the shadows, causing several Jedi to jump and ignite their lightsabers in surprise. The ninja knelt before Rimuru, his voice barely above a whisper. "My lord, I've scouted the temple grounds. No immediate threats detected. However, I observed communications between council members and the Senate. Multiple mentions of the Chancellor with great reverence. Cross-referencing location data, the source of the corruption Lord Rimuru detected corresponds to the Chancellor's private chambers." The silence that followed was deafening. Master Windu's voice was deadly calm. "You're saying Supreme Chancellor Palpatine is the source of dark side corruption?" "I'm saying," Rimuru replied carefully, "that whoever or whatever is in that location is hiding something very dark, very powerful, and they're watching this conversation right now with great interest. Whether that's your chancellor or not, I can't say. I don't know your people or your politics, but I know corruption when I sense it. Yoda closed his eyes, his breathing becoming labored. When he spoke, his voice carried centuries of pain. Clouded, the future has become. Blind, we have been. A Sith Lord among us there is. Long suspected, never proven. If true, this is... He opened his eyes, and they blazed with determination. Then act we must, carefully but decisively. We need proof, Obi-Wan said. Accusing the Supreme Chancellor of being a Sith Lord without evidence would tear the Republic apart. Then let us get you proof, Rimuru offered. Raphael can analyze anything. If you can get me close enough to this Chancellor, I can tell you exactly what he is, what he's hiding, and what his intentions are. No force required, just pure analytical power. Mace studied Rimuru for a long moment. You would help us? You just arrived. This isn't your fight. Rimuru thought of Tempest, of the friends who died defending it, of the children he'd saved and the nation he'd built on principles of justice and compassion. He thought of Shizu, of her final wish for him to save the students. She couldn't. I've learned that evil left unchecked spreads like poison, Rimuru said quietly. If there's a tyrant hiding in your government, plotting something terrible, then it becomes my fight, because I have the power to help, and that means I have the responsibility to act. Yoda's expression softened into something approaching a smile. A Jedi's philosophy, that is. Strong in the Force you are not, but strong in spirit you clearly are. There's a problem, Anakin interjected. The Chancellor has been pushing for more executive powers, emergency measures to combat the Separatists. If he's really a Sith Lord, then everything he's done, every order he's given, has been manipulating the Republic toward his own ends, Obi-Wan finished grimly. This war itself could be his design. Notice, analyzing conversation data, probability of comprehensive conspiracy, 94.7%. Recommendation, full investigation of government structure, military command chain, and hidden agendas. Warning, situation complexity exceeds initial assessment. Potential galaxy-wide implications detected. Gobta, who had been quiet until now, raised his hand tentatively. Boss? So we accidentally dropped into the middle of a galactic conspiracy where an evil space wizard is pretending to be the good guy while running both sides of a war. Is that what's happening? That about sums it up, yes, Rimuru sighed. Cool. Way better than the paperwork you had me doing. Despite the tension, several people chuckled. Even Mace Windu's stern expression cracked slightly. The question is, Shion said, her hand resting on her sword, what do we do about it? If this Chancellor is your enemy, Lord Rimuru, then he's my enemy. I'll cut him down right now if you wish. Absolutely not, Rimuru said firmly. We do this smart. We gather evidence. We understand the full scope of his plans, and we dismantle them piece by piece. Rushing in could trigger whatever contingencies he has in place. Wise counsel, Yoda agreed. Meet the Chancellor you shall. Tomorrow, an audience we will arrange. Your unique abilities, use them to see truth. But cautious you must be. Dangerous beyond measure, a Sith Lord is. Diablo's smile widened. Oh, I do hope he tries something. It's been far too long since I've had a proper opponent. The meeting continued for another hour, establishing protocols, discussing the political situation, and planning their next moves. By the time they finished, Night had fallen over Coruscant, and Rimuru found himself being escorted to guest quarters within the temple. As they walked through the corridors, Anakin fell into step beside him. The young Jedi's mechanical hand clenched and unclenched nervously. "Can I ask you something?" Anakin said quietly. "Of course. You said you were a demon lord, that you've evolved beyond normal limitations. Can you stop people from dying? Can you save people no matter what?" Rimuru heard the desperation underlying the question. He stopped walking, turning to face Anakin fully. "I've saved many people," Rimuru said honestly, "but I've also failed to save others. I have resurrection abilities, but they require specific conditions. A piece of the person's soul, sufficient magicules, and the death must be recent. I'm powerful, but I'm not omnipotent. Why do you ask?" Anakin's jaw worked silently for a moment. "There's someone I care about, someone I'm afraid of losing. The Council teaches attachment is forbidden, but I can't—" He stopped himself. "Never mind. Forget I said anything." But Rimuru had already understood. He'd felt that fear himself, watching his friends face danger, wondering if his power would be enough. "The people we love are worth protecting," Rimuru said gently. "Never let anyone tell you otherwise. But fear of loss can drive us to terrible decisions. Trust me, I've seen it happen. The key is finding balance between love and wisdom." Anakin looked at him with an expression that mixed hope and pain. "The Jedi say—" "I'm not a Jedi," Rimuru interrupted kindly, "and I won't presume to tell you what's right for your order. But in my experience, denying our connections to others doesn't make us stronger. It makes us hollow. Just be careful. Fear is a poison. It whispers that any price is worth paying to protect what we love. But some prices cost more than just ourselves." Before Anakin could respond, they reached the guest quarters. Rimuru's companions filed in, already discussing sleeping arrangements and guard rotations, old habits from defending Tempest. As the door closed, Veldora flopped onto a couch, grinning wildly. "Rimuru, we landed right in the middle of an epic political conspiracy. This is just like that manga I read, The Dark Chancellor's Secret Identity. Oh, I can't wait to see how this plays out." "This isn't entertainment," Benimaru growled. "We're in an unknown galaxy with unknown threats. We should be planning our return home, not getting involved in local politics." "Can we even get home?" Shuna asked softly. "Answer: probability of dimensional return without extensive preparation, 0.03%. Required: comprehensive understanding of local universe's physics, sufficient energy source comparable to original dimensional tear, precise spatial calculations, estimated time to develop return method, unknown, resources available, insufficient data." Rimuru shared Raphael's assessment, watching his companions' expressions fall. "So we're stuck here," Geld said. "Then we make the best of it. We find a way to coexist with this galaxy until we can return to Tempest." "And if this Chancellor really is planning something terrible?" Soe asked. Rimuru looked out the window at the endless city lights of Coruscant, thinking of the darkness he'd sensed, the malevolence watching them even now. "Then we do what we've always done," he said firmly. "We protect the innocent. We stand against tyranny. We fight for what's right, even if it's not our fight." He turned to face his companions, his expression resolute. "We didn't ask to be here, but now that we are, we have a choice. We can hide and wait for a way home, or we can use our power to make a difference. What do you say?" Diablo knelt immediately. "I follow you into any darkness, my lord." One by one, the others voiced their agreement. Even Gobta, despite his earlier enthusiasm, nodded seriously. As they settled in for the night, Rimuru stood at the window, his enhanced senses reaching out across the city. Somewhere out there, the corruption waited, plotting, planning, watching. Tomorrow he would meet this Chancellor Palpatine. Tomorrow he would look evil in the face and see it for what it truly was. And if his suspicions were correct, this galaxy was about to learn something important. Darth Sidious had spent years building his conspiracy in the shadows, invisible to the Force, untouchable by the Jedi. But he'd never encountered someone who could see through lies without needing the Force at all. The Senate building was a monument to democracy, or at least what democracy looked like when it spanned 1,000,000 worlds. The massive circular structure dominated the governmental district, its sleek architecture catching the morning sun and scattering it across Coruscant's endless skyline. Inside, thousands of repulsor pods hung in the air like metal flowers, each one representing a sector of the galaxy, each one filled with beings who believed they were shaping the future. Rimuru walked through the gilded corridors flanked by Jedi and clone troopers, his diplomatic smile firmly in place. He'd chosen to bring only a small delegation: Diablo, Benimaru, Shuna, and Veldora. The others remained at the temple, ostensibly as guests, but really as insurance. If this meeting went poorly, at least his full force wouldn't be captured. "Remember," Mace Windu said quietly as they approached the Chancellor's office, "Palpatine is beloved by the Senate and the public. If you make accusations without proof, it will destroy any credibility you might build here." "I understand," Rimuru replied. "I'm just here to meet the man leading your republic during wartime. A diplomatic courtesy, nothing more." But his mind was racing. "Raphael, continuous analysis. The moment we're in range, I want everything. Emotional state, physical health, energy signatures, hidden augmentations, deception patterns, everything." "Acknowledged." Preparing comprehensive scan protocols. Warning: subject may possess counter-surveillance capabilities. Recommend passive observation initially. Active scanning only if subject's attention is diverted. The doors to the Chancellor's office slid open with a pneumatic hiss, and Rimuru got his first direct look at the man who might be the galaxy's greatest monster. Sheev Palpatine was the perfect image of a kindly grandfather thrust into impossible circumstances. His face was lined with age and care, his eyes warm and welcoming, his smile genuine, or at least it would seem genuine to anyone who couldn't see past the surface. He rose from behind an ornate desk, arms spread in greeting. "Ah, Master Windu, Master Yoda, welcome, welcome." His voice carried that practiced politician's warmth, not too eager, not too distant. Then his eyes fell on Rimuru and his companions, and for just a fraction of a second, something flickered across his face. "Notice. Micro-expression detected. Duration, 07 seconds. Classification, surprise transitioning to calculated interest. Subject was not expecting analysis subject. Subject is rapidly recalibrating approach. Conclusion, subject is highly intelligent and extremely cautious." And these must be our unexpected visitors from beyond the stars. Palpatine moved around his desk with the careful movements of an elderly man. "I must say, when Master Windu informed me of your arrival, I could scarcely believe it. Beings from another universe. What a remarkable occurrence. I am Supreme Chancellor Sheev Palpatine. Welcome to the Galactic Republic." He extended his hand. Rimuru took it, maintaining his diplomatic expression, while Raphael went into overdrive. Notice, initiating comprehensive analysis through physical contact, scanning, warning. Immediate threat detected. Subject classification, force sensitive, power level, extreme, dark side corruption, 99.97%. Subject is actively suppressing force signature through advanced techniques. True power output, estimated 847% higher than displayed level. Subject possesses multiple hidden weapons, concealed communications devices, emergency escape mechanisms. Biological age, 88 standard years. Apparent age, 65 standard years. Discrepancy explained by dark side preservation techniques. Critical alert. Subject is a Sith Lord. Designation confirmed. Darth Sidious. Threat level, catastrophic. Subject is currently analyzing analysis subject through force-based perception. Conclusion: subject cannot perceive analysis subject through the force. Subject is experiencing cognitive dissonance and heightened threat assessment. Rimuru kept his smile steady, even as Raphael's warnings flooded his mind. This was him, the corruption made flesh, standing right here, shaking his hand, wearing the face of the Republic's savior. "The honor is mine, Chancellor," Rimuru said smoothly, releasing the handshake. "I apologize for the dramatic nature of our arrival. We certainly didn't intend to cause such a stir." "Think nothing of it." Palpatine gestured to a collection of comfortable chairs arranged around a low table. "Please sit. I've had my staff prepare refreshments. I'm most eager to learn about your remarkable journey." As they settled into seats, Rimuru noted the strategic positioning. Palpatine had placed himself with his back to a window overlooking the Senate chamber, the light creating a slight halo effect around him, a subtle psychological trick to appear more benevolent. The Chancellor's desk had multiple hidden compartments that Raphael flagged as containing weapons and communication devices. Veldora immediately started examining the office's decorations with undisguised curiosity, picking up artifacts and spinning in his chair. "Oh, this is fascinating. Is this a genuine Alderaanian sculpture? The craftsmanship is exquisite." "Indeed it is," Palpatine said, his tone indulgent. "A gift from Bail Organa. I've always appreciated the Senator's eye for beauty." His gaze shifted to Rimuru. "But I'm far more interested in you, Lord Rimuru. The Jedi tell me you possess abilities beyond anything we've encountered. Magic, they called it?" "That's correct," Rimuru acknowledged. "In our universe, magic is as fundamental as your force seems to be here. It's an internal energy we generate and manipulate to affect reality." "Fascinating." Palpatine leaned forward, his expression one of grandfatherly interest, but Rimuru could see the calculation behind those eyes. "And you say you cannot interact with the Force at all? The Jedi cannot sense you?" Notice, subject is probing for information about analysis subject's capabilities and limitations. Subject's heart rate has increased by 12%. Subject is experiencing elevated stress despite outward calm. Conclusion: subject views analysis subject as potential threat to long-term plans. "Apparently not," Rimuru said. "We're something of a blind spot to Force users. An interesting quirk of interdimensional physics, I suppose." "Quite fortuitous for you," Palpatine observed, and there was something sharp in his tone for just an instant. To be invisible to the Force is to be invisible to both the Jedi and their enemies. One might accomplish a great deal without being detected. Diablo's smile widened dangerously. One might indeed, Chancellor, though I find those who hide their true nature in plain sight to be far more insidious than those who simply remain unseen. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Palpatine's expression didn't change, but his hands, resting on the arms of his chair, tightened almost imperceptibly. An interesting observation, the Chancellor said carefully. You speak as though you've encountered such deception before. Oh, constantly, Diablo replied, his golden eyes fixed on Palpatine with predatory intensity. In my Lord's service, I've dealt with numerous individuals who wore masks of benevolence while harboring darker intentions. The clever ones are always the most dangerous. They build trust over years, decades even, positioning themselves where they can do the most damage when they finally reveal their true nature. Mace Windu shifted uncomfortably. Diablo, perhaps. It's quite all right, Master Windu, Palpatine interrupted, though his smile had gained an edge. I appreciate directness. These are dark times, after all. The Clone Wars have taught us all to be wary of deception. He turned his attention back to Rimuru. Speaking of which, I'm curious, what is your impression of our conflict? An outside perspective might prove valuable. Notice, subject is changing topic, attempting to assess analysis subject's political alignment and potential usefulness. Subject's force presence is fluctuating. Suppression technique requires concentration. Subject is dividing attention between conversation and maintaining disguise. Rimuru considered his response carefully. This was dangerous ground. From what I understand, you have a democratic republic facing a separatist movement that believes the republic has become too corrupt and centralized. Both sides are using military force to resolve what seems fundamentally like a political disagreement. A simplification, but not inaccurate, Palpatine conceded, though I would argue the separatists have been manipulated by corporate interests and, we suspect, darker forces. The Sith, Yoda said quietly, his eyes never leaving Palpatine's face. Indeed, Palpatine agreed without hesitation. Master Yoda and the Council have long suspected that a Sith Lord orchestrates events from the shadows, someone patient, cunning, and ruthless enough to manipulate an entire galaxy. He spread his hands in a gesture of helplessness. Though despite our best efforts, we've been unable to identify this mysterious figure. The sheer audacity of it was breathtaking. Rimuru watched as the man responsible for the entire conspiracy sat there discussing himself in the third person, his expression one of concerned determination. Shuna spoke up, her gentle voice cutting through the tension. Chancellor, forgive my curiosity, but I sense great weariness in you. The burden of leadership during wartime must be exhausting. Notice, subject's emotional response to unexpected sympathy. Brief, genuine surprise, quickly masked. Subject is reassessing female subject as potential manipulation vector. Warning, subject may attempt to use emotional appeals to gain alliance. Palpatine's expression softened into something that might have been genuine gratitude. You are very perceptive, my dear. Yes, the weight of this office grows heavier with each passing day. So many lives depending on decisions I make. So many worlds suffering. I often wonder if I'm doing enough. If there's more I should be doing to end this conflict. You've taken emergency powers, Benimaru observed, his tone neutral but his eyes sharp. Extended your term beyond normal limits. Some might say that's dangerous. Some do say that, Palpatine acknowledged, and they're right to be vigilant. power concentrated in one individual is inherently dangerous, but these are unprecedented times. The Senate is too slow, too divided. Without decisive action, the Republic will collapse. He looked directly at Rimuru. You built a nation, Lord Rimuru. Surely you understand the difficult choices leaders must make. Sometimes we must accept temporary measures to preserve long-term stability. It was a trap wrapped in reasonable-sounding logic. Agree, and Palpatine could paint himself as a fellow pragmatist. Disagree and risk appearing naive about governance. I've made difficult choices, Rimuru admitted. I've accepted power I didn't want because the alternative was watching innocents suffer. But I also established checks on that power. I created councils and advisory boards. I ensured that no single person, including myself, could abuse authority without consequence. He met Palpatine's gaze steadily. Power without accountability is tyranny, no matter how benevolent the tyrant believes himself to be. For just a moment, Palpatine's mask slipped. His eyes went cold, calculating, measuring Rimuru as one might measure an opponent before a duel. Then the grandfatherly warmth returned, smooth as silk. Wise words, Palpatine said. Perhaps when this war is over, you might share more of your philosophy with our Senate. Fresh perspectives are always valuable. Notice, subject has classified analysis subject as non-ally, potential threat, currently too visible to eliminate, requires further assessment. Subject is preparing to end meeting while gathering more intelligence. Subject's stress levels remain elevated. Subject's force signature fluctuations increasing. Maintaining disguise is becoming more difficult in presence of analysis subject. Veldora, who had been surprisingly quiet, suddenly spoke up. Chancellor, I've been studying your Senate structure. It's remarkably similar to several governmental systems described in my research materials. But there's something that puzzles me. Why does the Supreme Chancellor have direct control over the clone army? Shouldn't military command be separate from civilian leadership? The question hung in the air like a blade. Everyone in the room tensed. Palpatine's smile didn't waver. An astute observation. Under normal circumstances, you would be correct. But the clone army was commissioned as an emergency measure before my time. The Jedi serve as generals. But ultimate authority rests with the civilian government, as it should in a democracy. Though I confess, I sometimes wonder if that was wise. So much power, so easily misused if it fell into the wrong hands. Analysis complete. Subject's statement contains 3 factual truths, 2 misleading implications, 1 complete fabrication, 4 psychological manipulation techniques. Subject is laying groundwork for future actions while maintaining plausible deniability. Subject's reference to wrong hands is projection. Subject intends to misuse said power. Rimuru felt Raphael's conclusions solidify into certainty. This man, this Sith Lord, was playing a game so intricate that even beings who could see the future had missed it. But he'd made one critical mistake. He'd built his entire plan around being invisible to Force users. And Rimuru didn't use the Force. Chancellor, Rimuru said carefully, I appreciate you taking time from your schedule to meet with us. I know you must be incredibly busy managing the war effort. Before we go, though, I wanted to ask, do you have any guidance for newcomers to your galaxy? Things we should know, dangers we should avoid. Palpatine's expression became thoughtful. Stay close to the Jedi. They may be warriors now, but they remain the Republic's greatest protectors. And be wary of making allegiances too quickly. In times of war, everyone claims to serve a just cause. Truth is often the first casualty. Speaking of truth, Diablo said, his voice silk over steel, I've always believed that the most dangerous lies are the ones wrapped in enough honesty to seem credible. Don't you agree, Chancellor? The air in the room crackled with tension. Palpatine's eyes narrowed fractionally, and for just an instant, Rimuru felt something shift, a pressure that existed outside normal perception, a darkness testing the edges of his companions' minds. Warning: subject is attempting force-based mental manipulation on analysis subject's companions. Technique identified. Subtle emotional manipulation designed to create doubt and suspicion. Effect on subjects minimal. Demon-class entities possess natural resistance to mental manipulation. Attack detected and nullified. Diablo's smile turned absolutely predatory. My, what an interesting sensation. Almost like someone trying to whisper suggestions into one's mind. How very Sith-like. The room exploded into motion. Mace Windu's hand flew to his lightsaber. Yoda's eyes snapped open wide. The clone troopers at the door raised their weapons fractionally before Windu waved them down. Palpatine's expression was one of shocked concern. I assure you, I have no idea what you're suggesting. I'm not force-sensitive beyond the minor abilities all beings possess. Perhaps your companion misinterpreted. No misinterpretation, Benimaru said coldly. We felt it too. Someone in this room just attempted mental manipulation. Someone very skilled at hiding their power. Impossible, Palpatine said, rising from his chair. Master Yoda, Master Windu, you would sense if I were using the Force aggressively. Tell them. And there was the brilliance of it. Yoda and Mace exchanged uncertain glances. They couldn't sense anything amiss because Palpatine's suppression was perfect. To their Force senses, the room contained only their own presence and the emptiness where Rimuru's group stood. We sense no disturbance in the Force, Yoda admitted reluctantly. But trust your perception, these visitors do. Blind to them, the Force is. Perhaps see what we cannot, they can. Palpatine's face transformed into wounded dignity. I have served this republic faithfully for years. I've endured assassination attempts, political attacks, and the constant burden of leadership during the darkest time in galactic history. And now I'm accused of being the very evil I've fought against? He looked at Mace Windu. Master Jedi, I've worked alongside the Jedi Order for decades. You know me. Is this who I am? Mace's jaw clenched. He looked at Rimuru and there was conflict in his eyes. Lord Rimuru, these are serious accusations. Do you have proof? Query acknowledged. Displaying analyzed data. Subject Palpatine possesses dark side Force mastery, exceeding all known Sith Lords in available database. Subject maintains constant suppression field requiring 34% of total concentration. Subject has surgical scars consistent with Sith alchemy modifications. Subject's cellular degradation matches dark side corruption patterns. Subject's brain activity shows psychological profile consistent with sociopathy, narcissistic personality disorder, sadistic tendencies, manipulative behavior patterns. Probability that subject is Darth Sidious, 99.98%. Proof sufficient for conviction in legal setting, insufficient. Evidence is based on analysis method that cannot be verified by Force-sensitive beings. Rimuru felt the trap close around him. He had absolute certainty, but no way to prove it that would satisfy the Jedi or the Senate. Any accusation would make him look like a paranoid outsider trying to destabilize the Republic. "I apologize, Chancellor," Rimuru said, forcing diplomacy into his voice. "My companions are sensitive to certain types of energy manipulation. In our universe, such techniques are common among those with hostile intent. It's possible we misread the situation given our unfamiliarity with the Force." It physically hurt to back down, but Raphael was right. Without proof the Jedi could verify, all he would accomplish is alerting Palpatine that he was under suspicion. Palpatine's expression softened into understanding, though his eyes remained cold. "I appreciate your candor, Lord Rimuru, and I understand your caution. You're in an unfamiliar galaxy surrounded by unknown powers. Naturally, you would be vigilant." He gestured to the door. "Perhaps we should continue this conversation another time when tensions are less heightened." "Agreed," Mace said quickly. "Lord Rimuru, we should return to the temple." As they filed out of the office, Rimuru felt Palpatine's gaze boring into his back. "Notice, subject is conducting threat assessment. Subject has classified analysis. Subject as major obstacle to long-term plans. Subject is calculating probability of elimination versus recruitment. Warning, subject will likely attempt to either convert analysis, subject to ally, or arrange fatal accident. Recommend extreme vigilance." They walked through the Senate corridors in tense silence until they were safely in their transport. The moment the doors sealed, Veldora let out a low whistle. "Well, that was fun. We just had a staring contest with a Sith Lord and nobody died." "Fun isn't the word I'd use," Benimaru growled. "That man is dangerous, the corruption radiating from him. I've only felt something similar once when we faced the Eastern Empire's worst commanders." "He tried to manipulate our minds," Shuna said quietly. "I felt it, like oily fingers trying to slip past my thoughts. If we'd been normal humans, we might not have even noticed." Mace turned to Rimuru, his expression grave. "You're certain? Absolutely certain that Palpatine is a Sith Lord?" "Raphael is never wrong," Rimuru said. "He's Darth Sidious. He's been hiding in plain sight for decades, manipulating both sides of your war. And now he knows we can see through his disguise." He looked at Yoda. "Master Yoda, you said you've suspected a Sith Lord in the Senate." "How long?" 10 years, perhaps more," Yoda admitted. "But prove it we could not. Search we did, suspects we investigated, never did we imagine." He shook his head. "The Supreme Chancellor, unthinkable it is, yet makes terrible sense." "He's been playing both sides," Diablo observed. "The Republic and the Separatists, controlling the conflict, prolonging it, using it to consolidate power and eliminate opposition. It's actually quite brilliant, if utterly evil." Anakin, who had been silent until now, spoke up, his voice strained. "The Chancellor has been my friend for years. He's given me guidance, supported me when the Council wouldn't. If he's really..." He couldn't finish the sentence. Rimuru felt sympathy for the young Jedi. He'd experienced betrayal before. The shock of learning someone you trusted was something else entirely. "Anakin," Rimuru said gently, "the best manipulators are the ones who make you feel special, who seem to understand you better than anyone else. That's not friendship, it's grooming. He's been preparing you for something. We just need to figure out what." Notice, analyzing available data on Skywalker, Anakin, cross-referencing with Sith Lord manipulation patterns. Conclusion, Subject Palpatine has been cultivating Subject Skywalker as potential apprentice. Prophecy of Chosen One makes Subject Skywalker ideal target for corruption. Probability that Palpatine intends to turn Skywalker to dark side, 87.4%. current emotional vulnerabilities detected in Subject Skywalker: fear of loss, frustration with Jedi Council restrictions, desire for greater power, secret attachments. Warning: Subject Skywalker is at high risk of falling to dark side influence. Raphael says Palpatine has been grooming you specifically, Rimuru said, watching Anakin's face pale. You're important to his plans somehow. The question is, why you? The prophecy, Obi-Wan said quietly. Anakin is supposed to be the chosen one, destined to bring balance to the Force. If Sidious could corrupt him, turn him to the dark side, he'd have the most powerful Force user in the galaxy as his apprentice. Mace finished grimly. And the Jedi's greatest hope would become their greatest nightmare. Anakin's mechanical hand clenched into a fist. I won't fall. I won't become his pawn. Not with us here, you won't, Rimuru said firmly. That's one advantage we have. Palpatine's manipulation techniques rely on the Force and psychological pressure. We're immune to the first and experienced with the second. We can help you. The transport settled onto the temple's landing platform. As they disembarked, Yoda pulled Rimuru aside, his ancient eyes searching. In great danger you have placed yourself, Yoda said quietly. Know you are a threat, Sidious does. Move against you he will. Let him try, Diablo said, appearing beside them. I've been looking for worthy opponents in this galaxy. A Sith Lord would be a delightful challenge. This is not a game, Yoda warned. The dark side of the Force, seductive and powerful it is. Underestimate Darth Sidious, you must not. We won't, Rimuru promised. But Master Yoda, he made a critical mistake. He built his entire conspiracy around being invisible to Force users. And we don't use the Force. For the first time in his entire plan, he's facing opponents who can see him clearly. That changes everything. Yoda nodded slowly. Hope you bring, perhaps. But cautious we must be. Evidence we need. Proof that will convince the Senate. Until then, we investigate, Rimuru said. We gather evidence. We protect Anakin from his manipulation. And we prepare for when he makes his move. He looked out at Coruscant's endless skyline. Because he will make a move. Men like Palpatine don't tolerate threats to their plans. He'll either try to eliminate us or use us somehow. What do we do now? Shuna asked. Rimuru thought about Palpatine's cold eyes, the darkness radiating from him. The conspiracy that had consumed an entire galaxy. He thought about Order 66, mentioned in the briefings, some kind of contingency protocol the Jedi didn't fully understand. Notice, requesting permission to access Republic military databases, priority search, Order 66 inhibitor chips, clone programming, Kaminoan cloning facilities, estimated time to infiltrate secured systems. 4.7 hours. Now, Rimuru said, we do what we do best. We investigate, we plan, and we build alliances. Soe will handle reconnaissance. Raphael will hack into military databases. Diablo will establish intelligence networks. And I'll work with the Jedi to prepare for what's coming. And when Sidious makes his move? Benimaru asked. Rimuru's expression hardened. Then we show him exactly why you don't underestimate beings from another universe. High above them, in his Senate office, Palpatine stood at his window, staring down at the Jedi Temple. His face was no longer kind, no longer warm. The mask had fallen away to reveal the monster beneath. So, he whispered to the darkness, the Force sends me a challenge. Beings I cannot touch, cannot manipulate, cannot predict. How inconvenient. His lips curled into a cruel smile. But also, how interesting. Let us see how these interdimensional fools fare against a Dark Lord of the Sith who's had decades to prepare his endgame. They may be invisible to the Force, but they're still made of flesh. And flesh, my dear visitors, is so very easy to destroy. He pressed a hidden button on his desk, and a hologram flickered to life. Count Dooku's tall, regal figure materialized in the blue light. Master Dooku's holographic form bowed. I sensed your call. We have a problem, my apprentice, Palpatine said softly, and problems, as you well know, require creative solutions. The war room deep within the Jedi Temple hummed with holographic displays and strategic overlays. Star systems flickered in blue and red. Republic and separatist territories locked in an ever-shifting dance of conquest and loss. But the dozen beings gathered around the central table weren't focused on battle reports. They were planning something far more dangerous: treason against the Supreme Chancellor. This is insane, Obi-Wan Kenobi said, stroking his beard for what must have been the 100th time in the past hour. We're talking about investigating the leader of the Republic based on the word of beings we met yesterday. Beings who can see what we cannot. Mace Windu countered. He stood with his arms crossed, his expression carved from stone. Master Kenobi, I understand your hesitation, but consider the facts. For years, we've felt the dark side clouding our vision. We've known a Sith Lord manipulates events from the shadows. We've suspected someone in the Senate, and now we have visitors from another universe. Visitors who have no stake in our politics, no reason to lie, telling us that Palpatine radiates dark side corruption so thick they can practically taste it. They could be lying about having no stake, Obi-Wan argued, but his voice lacked conviction. This could be an elaborate separatist plot. Rimuru, who had been listening patiently from his position near the holographic display, finally spoke. Master Kenobi, I understand your skepticism. In your position, I'd be suspicious too, but ask yourself this. What do we gain from this accusation? We're stranded in your galaxy, completely dependent on the Republic's goodwill for any hope of finding a way home. Why would we risk that by making false accusations against the most powerful man in your government? To destabilize the Republic, Obi-Wan said, but even he sounded doubtful now. To sow discord among the Jedi and the civilian leadership. To what end? Shuna asked gently. We have no army, no political power, no territorial ambitions. Lord Rimuru built an entire nation from nothing through cooperation and mutual benefit. Why would he suddenly become a chaos agent here? Yoda tapped his Geimer stick against the floor, the sound echoing through the chamber. Valid points both sides make, but decide on belief alone. We cannot. Evidence we need. Proof that will stand before the Senate and the galaxy. His ears drooped slightly. Difficult, this will be. Decades Palpatine has had to perfect his deception. Traces of his true nature, well hidden they will be. That's where we come in, Zoe said, materializing from the shadows and causing half the Jedi in the room to jump. The ninja bowed slightly in apology. Lord Rimuru, I've completed my preliminary reconnaissance of the Senate building as requested. Security is extensive but follows predictable patterns. With your permission, I can infiltrate Palpatine's private offices and personal residences tonight. Absolutely not, Mace said immediately. If you're caught, it will prove to Palpatine that we suspect him. It will also give him justification to label you as separatist spies and turn the Republic against both you and the Jedi Order. Then we won't get caught, Diablo said smoothly. He stood near the back of the room, his presence somehow making the shadows deeper. My lord, if I may, Zoe is correct that physical infiltration carries risks. However, I have other methods that leave no trace, no evidence, and no possibility of detection. Your demon abilities? Mace asked warily. Precisely. In our world, I can establish networks of lesser demons who serve as eyes and ears across entire continents. Here, I cannot summon such beings. The metaphysical laws differ too greatly. However, I retain my more personal skills. I can move through shadows, bend perception, and extract information from willing or unwilling sources. His golden eyes gleamed. There are always people in positions of power who know inconvenient truths. People who've been paid to stay silent, threatened into compliance, or simply ignored because they seemed insignificant. These people talk if one knows how to ask. Anakin stepped forward, his expression troubled. You're talking about torture. I'm talking about conversation, Diablo corrected. I rarely need to employ physical duress. Fear is a far more effective motivator, and my mere presence tends to inspire quite profound fear in those with guilty consciences. This is not the Jedi way, Obi-Wan protested. No, Rimuru agreed quietly. It's not, and normally I wouldn't consider such methods. But Master Kenobi, we're not dealing with a normal situation. If Palpatine really is Sidious, and Raphael's analysis gives us 99.98% certainty, then he's orchestrating a galaxy-wide conspiracy that's killed billions and corrupted your entire government. Sometimes fighting monsters requires methods that aren't pretty. He looked around the room, meeting each Jedi's eyes in turn. But I won't order anything you're uncomfortable with. This is your galaxy, your order, your decision. If you want to investigate through official channels, we'll support that. If you want to confront Palpatine directly and see how he reacts, we'll back you up. But understand, every day we delay is another day he prepares for whatever endgame he has planned. Notice, alert from background processes, analysis of Republic military databases, 47% complete, preliminary findings suspicious, clone army commissioning predates separatist crisis by significant margin, original authorization signed by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, who died under mysterious circumstances before clone army completion. Kaminoan cloners received payment from sources traced to dummy corporations with separatist ties. Warning: clone army creation shows signs of deliberate manipulation from multiple sources. Searching for Order 66, contingency protocols, inhibitor chips. Masters, Rimuru said urgently as Raphael's findings flooded his consciousness. Raphael has found something. The clone army, when was it commissioned? Mace frowned. About 10 years ago. Master Sifo Dyas ordered it without the Council's knowledge or approval. We discovered it only when the war began and Obi-Wan stumbled upon Kamino. And Sifo Dyas? Dead, killed shortly after placing the order, supposedly by pirates. Analysis complete. Probability that Master Sifo Dyas was assassinated to prevent discovery of unauthorized clone army, 94.3%. Probability that clone army was commissioned as part of a larger conspiracy, 98.7%. Searching Kaminoan cloning records for access granted. Downloading genetic programming protocols. Warning: biochip implants detected in all clone specimens. Designation: inhibitor chips. Official purpose: prevents clone aggression and ensures behavioral control. Actual purpose: analyzing. Critical discovery: Inhibitor chips contain embedded programming. Designation: contingency orders. Total count: 150 orders. Accessing order: 66 protocols. Warning, warning. Order 66. Designation: execute the Jedi. Activation trigger: verbal command from Supreme Chancellor. Effect: complete override of clone free will. Mission: eliminate all Jedi Knights on site. Classification: absolute priority, no exceptions. Status: active awaiting trigger. Rimuru felt his blood run cold. The clones, they're programmed to kill you. The room went silent. Every Jedi turned to stare at him. What? Anakin's voice was barely a whisper. Rimuru quickly relayed Raphael's findings, watching horror dawn on the Jedi's faces as they realized the full scope of the trap. The entire clone army, Mace said slowly, as if speaking the words made them real. 3 million soldiers fighting alongside us, sworn to protect the Republic, and with one command from Palpatine, they would turn on us? Not just turn on you, they'd be compelled to hunt you down with absolute priority, Rimuru clarified grimly. The inhibitor chips override their free will entirely. The clones wouldn't even realize what they're doing until it's over. It's the perfect betrayal. Your own soldiers, your friends, transformed into your executioners. Obi-Wan sat down heavily, his face ashen. The clones. I've fought beside them for 3 years. Captain Cody, Commander Bly, all of them. They're good men. They won't have a choice, Benamaru said. It's mind control at the biological level, programmed into their brains from creation. Your Palpatine has been building his Jedi purge into the Republic's own army from the very beginning. Yoda closed his eyes, and for the first time, Rimuru saw the ancient Jedi Master look truly old. Blind we were, arrogant, thought we understood the Sith's plan, but deeper it ran, more patient, more terrible. How do we stop it? Ahsoka asked, her voice shaking slightly. Can we remove the chips? Reprogram them? Query acknowledged. Analyzing inhibitor chip removal feasibility. Conclusion: surgical removal possible, but requires specialized medical facilities, skilled neurosurgeons, several hours per clone. Total clone population: approximately 3 million active soldiers. Time required for complete removal: 1.2 million surgical hours, equivalent to 137 years using single surgical team. Alternative approaches: develop countermeasure signal, destroy chip activation capability, eliminate Supreme Chancellor before activation, mass production of anti-control devices. Surgical removal is possible but impractical, Rimuru reported. There are too many clones and too little time. We'd need to remove the chips from 3 million soldiers before Palpatine activates Order 66, unless we can develop a technological countermeasure or eliminate Palpatine before he can give the order. Eliminate? Obi-Wan looked shocked. You're suggesting we assassinate the Supreme Chancellor? I'm suggesting we remove a Sith Lord who's planning genocide, Rimuru corrected firmly. There's a difference. The Jedi do not assassinate political leaders, Mace said, but his voice carried less certainty than his words. Even if those leaders are Sith Lords, we arrest them. We bring them to justice through the legal system. Diablo laughed, a sound like shattering glass. Master Windu, with all due respect, Palpatine is your legal system. He controls the Senate, the military, the courts, and apparently every clone trooper in the Republic. What legal system do you propose bringing him to justice through? The one that still exists. Mace's voice rose. The one that separates us from the Sith. We cannot abandon our principles just because the enemy is powerful. That's exactly what they want, to drag us down to their level. Noble sentiment, Veldora observed, looking up from the manga he'd been reading. But impractical. I've been studying your history, and every major conflict follows similar patterns. The side that hesitates because of moral principles usually loses to the side that doesn't hesitate at all. Not saying it's right, just saying it's historical fact. We are not abandoning our principles, Yoda said firmly, though his voice carried deep sadness. But adapt, we must. A Sith Lord as Supreme Chancellor, a clone army programmed to destroy us, a war orchestrated to weaken us. In the old ways alone, victory we will not find. He turned to Rimuru. Help us, will you? Your abilities, your people, your outside perspective. Fight beside us when the time comes. Rimuru didn't hesitate. Yes, but we do this smart. We gather evidence, we protect the clones who've become individuals, and we prepare for the moment Palpatine makes his move. Because he will move. Now that he knows we can see through his deception, he'll accelerate his timeline. Agreed, Mace said. We need a plan. Multiple contingencies. Soei, I want surveillance on Palpatine's known associates. Count Dooku, General Grievous, anyone in his inner circle. But careful surveillance. If they detect you, they won't, Soei promised, already fading back into the shadows. Diablo, begin building your intelligence network, Rimuru ordered. Find people who've been paid off, threatened, or silenced. I want to know every secret Palpatine has buried, every body he's hidden, every deal he's made. With pleasure, my lord. Diablo's smile was anticipatory. Raphael? Continue analyzing clone programming. If there's a technological countermeasure, find it. Rimuru turned to Benimaru. Start training exercises with any clones willing to work with us. If we can't remove all the chips before Order 66, we need soldiers who'll resist the programming through sheer willpower. Can that even work? Anakin asked. Probability that sufficiently strong-willed clone can resist Order 66 programming, 0.7% under normal circumstances. However, if clone is forewarned, probability increases to 4.3%. If clone has formed strong emotional bonds with Jedi, probability increases to 8.9%. If clone receives counter-conditioning training and technological support, probability increases to 23.7%. Conclusion: difficult, but not impossible. Recommend focus efforts on clone commanders and specialized units first. It's a long shot, Rimuru admitted, but 23% chance is better than zero. And if we can save even a fraction of the clones from being turned into unwilling murderers, it's worth trying. The doors to the war room suddenly hissed open. A clone trooper in commander's armor strode in, his helmet under his arm, revealing a scarred face and hard eyes. "Commander Cody," Obi-Wan said, standing quickly. "Is something wrong?" "General Kenobi, I need to speak with you privately." Cody's gaze swept over the assembled group, lingering on Rimuru and his companions with obvious suspicion. "It's about the new arrivals. I've received orders regarding them." The room's temperature seemed to drop. "Orders from whom?" Mace asked carefully. "The Supreme Chancellor himself." Cody pulled out a datapad, his expression neutral. "He's requested that the interdimensional visitors be assigned Republic escorts at all times. For their safety, the order states, to help them acclimate to our galaxy and ensure they don't accidentally violate any laws or customs." "Escorts," Diablo said flatly. "You mean guards? He wants us watched." "The Chancellor's concerned about your security," Cody said, but there was something in his voice, a hesitation, perhaps doubt. "You did just accuse him of being a Sith Lord in front of multiple witnesses. Even if the accusation is baseless, it creates a security concern." "How do you know what was said in the Chancellor's office?" Benimaru demanded. "That meeting was supposed to be private." Cody's jaw tightened. "The Chancellor briefed me personally. He said you made concerning statements, and that he's worried about your mental state after your dimensional transition, suggested you might be suffering from reality displacement trauma." "Clever," Rimuru murmured. "He's already building a narrative. If we make any accusations, he can claim we're mentally unstable from our journey. If we resist his helpful escorts, we look paranoid and hostile. And meanwhile, his guards report our every move back to him." "I don't like being used," Cody said quietly, and Rimuru caught the genuine frustration in his voice. "General Kenobi, I've served under you for 3 years. I trust your judgment. Are these people a threat to the Republic?" Obi-Wan looked at Rimuru, then back at his commander. The war room held its breath. "No, Cody," Obi-Wan said finally. "I don't believe they are. In fact, I believe they may be exactly what the Republic needs right now. Outside observers who can see things we've been too close to notice." Cody nodded slowly, processing this. "Then respectfully, General, I'm going to file my report stating that the visitors pose no immediate threat, and that excessive surveillance would be counterproductive to building goodwill." He looked at Rimuru. "But understand, if you do anything to harm the Republic or the Jedi, orders or no orders, I will stop you." "Fair enough," Rimuru said. "And Commander Cody, thank you for trusting your general's judgment over political pressure. That takes courage." After Cody left, Anakin spoke up. "If Palpatine's already moving to isolate you, that means he's planning something. We're running out of time." "Then we accelerate our investigation," Mace decided. "Master Yoda and I will begin quietly contacting senators we trust, those who've expressed concerns about the Chancellor's emergency powers. We'll build a political coalition, gather support for when we need to move against him." "And if we can't get enough support?" Ahsoka asked. "Then we do what Jedi have always done," Obi-Wan said quietly. "We stand between evil and the innocence it threatens, regardless of the cost." Rimuru felt a surge of respect for these warriors. They were trapped in an impossible situation, facing an enemy who'd outplayed them for years, and yet they still clung to their principles, even as they adapted their tactics. "There's one more thing we need to consider," Shuna said softly. "Count Dooku. If Palpatine is Darth Sidious, then Dooku must be his apprentice, the public face of the Sith while his master hides in plain sight. But does Dooku know about Order 66? Does he know his master plans to betray the Separatists too?" Analysis. Probability that Count Dooku is fully aware of Palpatine's complete plan, 34.7%. Probability that Dooku believes he will rule beside Palpatine after Republic falls, 78.3%. Probability that Palpatine intends to discard Dooku once he's no longer useful, 99.2%. Conclusion: Dooku is a tool, not a partner. Palpatine will betray him at the optimal moment. Dooku's being manipulated too, Rimuru realized. He thinks he's building a new order with Palpatine. He doesn't realize he's just another piece to be sacrificed. "Could we turn him?" Anakin suggested. "If we could show him proof that Palpatine plans to betray him." "Dooku fell to the dark side years ago," Mace said. "He's killed countless Jedi, orchestrated massacres, and committed atrocities across the galaxy. Even if we could turn him against Palpatine, He's still a war criminal who must answer for his crimes. But he's also one of the few beings in this galaxy who might be able to match Palpatine in combat, Obi-Wan pointed out. I'm not suggesting we pardon his crimes, but if we're going to face Sidious, we need every advantage we can get. The debate continued for another hour, plans forming and reforming as they considered every angle, every possibility. By the time the meeting concluded, they had the skeleton of a strategy. Phase 1, intelligence gathering. Soe and Diablo would build networks and uncover Palpatine's secrets. Raphael would analyze clone programming for weaknesses. Phase 2, protection. Key Jedi would be warned about Order 66. Trusted clones would receive counter-conditioning. Political allies would be cultivated. Phase 3, confrontation. When they had sufficient evidence and support, they would move against Palpatine, legally if possible, forcefully if necessary. But as Rimuru left the war room, Raphael delivered an update that made his blood run cold. Alert. Surveillance detected. Unknown entity has been monitoring this facility through advanced espionage technology. Trace successful. Origin point is Count Dooku's flagship, currently in Outer Rim. Estimated duration of surveillance, 73 minutes. Conclusion. Dooku knows about our investigation. Palpatine will be informed within hours. We're compromised, Rimuru said quietly, stopping the group in the corridor. Dooku's been listening. He heard everything. The Jedi's hands went to their lightsabers. Veldora started laughing. Well, the true dragon said cheerfully, I suppose the subtle approach is over. Now comes the fun part, when the enemy knows we're coming and we have to win anyway. Mace Windu's expression was grim. If Sidious knows we're aware of Order 66, he may activate it early. We need to move faster than planned. Or, Diablo suggested, his eyes gleaming, we use this. Let Palpatine think he has the advantage. Let him believe we're scrambling, desperate, making mistakes. And while he's focused on countering our obvious moves, we hit him where he's not looking, Rimuru finished. Raphael, I need you to analyze Palpatine's probable responses. If he knows we know about Order 66, what will he do? Analyzing. Probability assessments complete. Most likely responses ranked by probability. Accelerate Order 66 timeline, 87.3%. Arrange accidents for interdimensional visitors, 82.1%. Frame interdimensional visitors as separatist agents, 76.5%. Intensify manipulation of Skywalker, Anakin, 91.4%. Deploy Count Dooku or General Grievous against primary threats, 68.9%. Consolidate emergency powers through Senate vote, 71.2%. Stage crisis requiring Jedi deployment away from Coruscant, 68%. Recommendation, prepare for multiple simultaneous attacks. Subject Palpatine will likely employ combination strategy targeting political, military, and personal vulnerabilities. As Rimuru relayed these predictions, he saw grim acceptance settle over the Jedi. This was it, the point of no return. The Shadow War was about to become very real, very public, and very deadly. Then we prepare for war, Yoda said quietly. Not the war we've been fighting, but the war that truly matters, against the darkness in our own house. High above Coruscant, in the cold silence of space, a separatist flagship hung like a predator. In its command center, Count Dooku, elegant, aristocratic, and utterly dedicated to the dark side, reviewed the recordings of the Jedi War Room meeting with growing alarm. They know, he murmured, these outsiders have exposed everything. He activated his holo projector and moments later, his master's cloaked figure appeared. "My lord," Dooku said, bowing, "we have a situation. The interdimensional travelers have discovered Order 66. The Jedi Council is aware of your identity. The entire plan is compromised." The figure was silent for a long moment. When it spoke, the voice carried no anger, only cold calculation. "Then it's time," Darth Sidious said softly. "We move now. Activate the contingencies, deploy Grievous, and my apprentice, prepare yourself. You will face these travelers personally, test them, break them, show them that in this galaxy the dark side is supreme." "And if they prove stronger than expected?" Dooku asked. Sidious's laugh was a thing of pure malevolence. "Then you will have served your purpose by measuring them. Every warrior has a weakness, Lord Tyrannus, even those from other universes. We simply need to find it and exploit it." The hologram flickered out, leaving Dooku alone with his doubts. For the first time in years, the former Jedi felt something he'd almost forgotten: fear. The industrial sector of Coruscant never truly slept. Even at 3 in the morning, cargo haulers rumbled through the lower levels. Automated systems processed waste and recycling, and the city's mechanical heart beat on. It was the perfect place for a secret meeting. Rimuru stood on a rust-stained landing platform, the city sprawling endlessly below him in layers of light and shadow. Beside him, Diablo waited with predatory patience, while Soe remained invisible somewhere in the darkness above. They'd come alone, or at least appearing to be alone, because the message had specified no Jedi. "This could be a trap," Diablo observed pleasantly. "In fact, I'd estimate the probability at roughly 70%. "Raphael puts it at 68, Rimuru corrected. "But whoever sent that message knew things they shouldn't. Details about our investigation, about Order 66, about our meeting with Palpatine. Someone inside the conspiracy wants to talk." "Notice, approaching vessel detected. Configuration, Separatist diplomatic shuttle, heavily modified. Scanning for weapon systems. Multiple concealed armaments detected. Life signs, 2 humanoid, 4 battle droids on standby. Primary occupant signature matches available data for Count Dooku. Warning, subject is Sith Lord, apprentice to Darth Sidious. Threat level, extreme." "It's Dooku," Rimuru said quietly, his body tensing. "Palpatine's apprentice." "Delightful," Diablo purred. "I've been hoping to meet a Sith Lord in combat conditions. Shall I kill him immediately, or would you prefer to hear what he has to say first?" "Let's hear him out. But be ready, this could go bad very quickly." The shuttle settled onto the platform with barely a whisper of repulsor lifts. The boarding ramp descended, and Count Dooku emerged like a figure from an older, more elegant age. He was tall and aristocratic, his white hair and beard perfectly groomed, his curved lightsaber hanging at his belt with casual menace. Despite being in his 70s, he moved with the grace of a master duelist. 2 Magna Guards flanked him, their electro-staffs crackling with energy. Behind them, partially visible in the shuttle's interior, Rimuru could see more battle droids on standby. Dooku stopped at the bottom of the ramp, his dark eyes studying Rimuru with open fascination. When he spoke, his voice carried the cultured accent of Sereno's nobility. "Lord Rimuru Tempest, how remarkable to finally meet you in person. Your arrival has caused quite the stir in certain circles." He glanced at Diablo and something flickered across his face. Recognition of danger, perhaps, or simply respect for a fellow predator. "And this must be one of your demon lords. Fascinating. I can feel the power radiating from him, yet the Force tells me nothing. It's quite disorienting. Count Dooku, Rimuru replied coolly. I admit I didn't expect Palpatine's apprentice to request a private meeting. Seems risky, given that we know what you are. What I am? Dooku smiled slightly. And what is that, precisely? A Sith Lord, Darth Tyrannus, if our intelligence is correct. Former Jedi Master who fell to the dark side approximately 10 years ago. Leader of the Separatist military, orchestrator of countless atrocities, and loyal apprentice to Darth Sidious. Rimuru watched Dooku's expression carefully. Did I miss anything? An accurate summary, if somewhat lacking in nuance. Dooku descended the ramp fully, his hands visible and empty of weapons, a gesture of temporary peace. But you forgot one detail, former apprentice. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to detonate. Former, Rimuru repeated carefully. Dooku's aristocratic mask cracked slightly, revealing genuine bitterness beneath. I listened to your war room discussion with great interest. Your analytical abilities are impressive. You've uncovered in days what the Jedi failed to see in years. But you made one error in your assessment. You assumed my master still values my service. He pulled out a small holo projector and activated it. A recording began to play, Palpatine's voice, unmistakable even through the distortion. Lord Tyrannus has served his purpose. When the time comes, young Skywalker will take his place. The boy has far greater potential, and none of Dooku's attachments to the old order. Arrange for them to meet in combat. Skywalker will kill Dooku, prove his power, and complete his fall to the dark side. The recording ended. Dooku deactivated the projector, his expression carefully controlled, but his hands trembling slightly, with rage, with betrayal, with the bitter taste of being used. I discovered this transmission 3 days ago, Dooku said quietly, hidden in my master's personal files meant for General Grievous. My death has been planned, scheduled, turned into a mere plot device for Skywalker's corruption. His voice hardened. I have served Darth Sidious for over a decade. I left the Jedi Order, turned my back on everything I once believed, orchestrated a galactic war, and stained my hands with the blood of billions, all in the pursuit of a new order. A galaxy ruled by the strong, freed from the corrupt Republic's decay. He looked up at Coruscant's endless skyline, and for a moment, he seemed less like a Sith Lord and more like a tired old man confronting the ruins of his choices. And my reward? To be discarded like a broken tool, replaced by a boy barely out of his adolescence because he has greater potential. Dooku's laugh was hollow. The truly bitter part? He's right. Skywalker does have greater potential. I've felt it. The raw power in that boy is staggering, and my master will corrupt him, twist him, and use him to complete the very plan I helped build. Analysis complete. Subject Dooku emotional state. 83% genuine betrayal, 12% calculated manipulation, 5% residual Sith deception. Voice stress patterns indicate authentic emotional distress. Conclusion: highly probable that subject has truly been betrayed by Palpatine and is seeking alternative alliance. Warning: subject remains dangerous and committed to dark side philosophy. Potential ally of convenience, not principle. So you want to betray your master, Rimuru said. Join forces with us against Palpatine before he can have you killed. Betray is such an ugly word, Dooku replied. I prefer to think of it as adjusting my allegiances in response to changing circumstances. Yes, I'm proposing an alliance. You possess information and abilities my master cannot counter. I possess intimate knowledge of his plans, his contingencies, and his weaknesses. Together we could actually stop him. And then what? Diablo asked, his voice silk over razor wire. After we've helped you eliminate your master, what happens? Do you conveniently take his place? Rule the galaxy as Darth Tyrannus, Supreme Chancellor of the New Order? Dooku met Diablo's golden eyes without flinching. I won't lie and claim I've suddenly rediscovered the light side. I am what I am, a Sith, a dark side practitioner, a man who believes the strong should rule and the weak should serve or perish. But I am not my master. I do not delight in cruelty for its own sake. I do not orchestrate wars solely to consolidate personal power. I genuinely believed, still believe, that the Republic was broken beyond repair and needed to be torn down and rebuilt. Through tyranny and violence, Rimuru said flatly. Through strength and order, Dooku corrected, but I'm not here to debate philosophy. I'm here because my master has made his choice, and I refuse to die for his ambitions. Whether you trust me or not is irrelevant. I have information you need, and you have power that can actually challenge Sidious. We can help each other. Rimuru exchanged glances with Diablo. The Demon Lord's expression was thoughtful, calculating. What information? Rimuru asked. Dooku pulled out a data chip, holding it up in the dim light. Everything. The complete timeline for Order 66, currently scheduled for activation in 3 weeks during the Siege of Mandalore. The location of every separatist leader who's aware of the conspiracy. The identities of every Republic senator who's secretly on Sidious's payroll. The coordinates of his private fortress on Mustafar. And most importantly, he paused for emphasis, the specific trigger phrase for Order 66 and the technical specifications for overriding the inhibitor chips. Critical information detected, analyzing claims, cross-referencing with known data. Conclusion: if authentic, this data would provide complete intelligence advantage. Verification required. Recommendation: accept data chip under controlled conditions. Analyze thoroughly before acting on information. Why should we believe anything on that chip is real? Rimuru challenged. For all we know, Palpatine sent you here to feed us false information. An excellent point, Dooku acknowledged, which is why I'm prepared to offer verification. Ask me anything, any detail about Sidious's plans, any secret operation, any hidden conspiracy. Your remarkable analytical abilities should be able to determine if I'm lying. Rimuru considered. This was dangerous. Dooku was a master manipulator, and even Raphael couldn't guarantee 100% accuracy in detecting deception from someone trained in Sith techniques, but the potential intelligence value was enormous. All right, Rimuru said, tell me about Palpatine's endgame. After Order 66, after the Jedi are eliminated, what's his ultimate goal? Dooku didn't hesitate. Eternal rule, not simply as Supreme Chancellor but as Emperor. He plans to dissolve the Senate, or rather, keep it as a powerless ceremonial body while all true authority flows through him and his regional governors. The Death Star, a battle station capable of destroying entire planets, is already under construction in the Outer Rim. It will be his ultimate weapon of control. Obey or watch your world die. Analyzing statement, cross-referencing with intercepted separatist communications, Republic military reports, unexplained resource allocations. Correlation found, massive construction project in Geonosis system, heavily classified. Energy requirements consistent with planet-destroying weapon. Probability that statement is truthful, 91.7%. The Death Star is real, Rimuru said quietly, feeling sick. Raphael confirms it. Dooku nodded. My master thinks in terms of millennia. He wants to rule this galaxy for 1,000 years, sustained by the dark side, destroying any who oppose him. The war, the Jedi purge, the Empire, all of it is just the foundation. His true goal is absolute, eternal power. And you were fine with this plan when you thought you'd be his right hand, Diablo observed. I was a fool, Dooku admitted simply. I believed I could control him, guide him toward a more enlightened tyranny. I was wrong. My master is not interested in anything beyond his own power. He would burn the galaxy to ash if it meant ruling over the ashes. Rimuru studied Dooku's face, searching for any hint of deception. The former Jedi met his gaze steadily. If we accept this alliance, Rimuru said slowly, what do you want in return? Survival, Dooku said bluntly, and beyond that, perhaps redemption is too much to ask for, but I would like the opportunity to undo some of the damage I've caused. I won't pretend to return to the light. That ship has sailed. But I can at least ensure my final acts serve a better cause than my master's megalomania. You've killed thousands of Jedi, Rimuru said. Orchestrated massacres, enslaved entire populations. Why should we believe you're capable of redemption? Dooku's expression hardened. I don't ask you to believe in my redemption. I ask you to use me as a weapon against our mutual enemy. When Sidious is defeated, I will surrender myself to whatever justice you and the Jedi deem appropriate. But until then, I am the most valuable asset you could possibly acquire. A tense silence fell over the platform. In the distance, the city hummed with life, oblivious to the conversation that could determine the fate of the galaxy. Finally, Rimuru spoke. I'll take your data chip. Raphael will analyze it. If it's legitimate, we'll consider working together. But understand, one betrayal, one hint that you're playing us, and Diablo will demonstrate exactly why demons from another universe are not to be trifled with. Fair terms, Dooku agreed, tossing the data chip to Rimuru. You'll find everything you need on there, including classified separatist communication codes and my personal override commands for the droid army. Use them wisely. He turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. My master has dispatched General Grievous to Coruscant with orders to assassinate you. 4-armed cyborg, exceptional lightsaber combatant, utterly ruthless. He'll attack within the next 48 hours, likely when you're separated from Jedi protection. Threat assessment logged. Searching database for General Grievous. Results found. Supreme Commander of Separatist Droid Army. Kaleesh warrior modified with extensive cybernetic enhancements. Trained in lightsaber combat by Count Dooku. Notable kills. 47 confirmed Jedi. Preferred tactics. Overwhelming aggression. Psychological warfare. Targeting isolated opponents. Weaknesses, organic components vulnerable to specific attacks, relies on intimidation, predictable combat patterns. Let him come, Diablo said with evident anticipation. I've been so bored lately. Dooku actually smiled, a genuine expression of dark amusement. I almost feel sorry for Grievous. He's used to Jedi who hesitate, who try to redeem their opponents, who fight with honor. Something tells me you don't share those limitations. Honor is for those who can afford it, Diablo replied. I prefer efficiency. As Dooku's shuttle lifted off and disappeared into the traffic lanes, Rimuru activated his comm unit. Did you get all of that? The ninja materialized from the shadows. "Every word, Lord Rimuru. I also placed trackers on Dooku's shuttle and his Magna Guards. We can monitor his movements." "Good. Let's get this data chip back to the temple. If it's legitimate—" Rimuru trailed off, considering the implications. "If it's legitimate, we have everything we need to stop Order 66 and expose Palpatine," Diablo finished. "The question is whether we can move fast enough. Your Raphael said Dooku was approximately 12% deceptive. That's a concerning margin." Clarification: 12% calculated manipulation does not indicate deception about provided information. Rather indicates subject is selectively emphasizing certain facts while downplaying others to present himself in most favorable light. Core intelligence appears genuine. Recommendation: verify all claims before operational deployment. They made their way back through the industrial sector, moving quickly but carefully. Rimuru's mind was racing with possibilities and dangers. If Dooku was telling the truth, they'd just gained a massive advantage. But if this was an elaborate trap— "Lord Rimuru," Soe said quietly, "we're being followed. 3 speeders, military configuration. They've been maintaining distance for the past 4 blocks. "Grievous?" Diablo asked hopefully. "No, these are human operators. Republic military IFF codes, but—" Soe's voice turned grim. The codes are flagged in my database. These are Senate guards. Palpatine's personal security force. Analysis: Subject Palpatine is aware of meeting with Count Dooku. 2 possible explanations. 1. Palpatine monitored Dooku's communications and dispatched intercept team. Or 2. Dooku's betrayal is known to Palpatine, and this meeting was allowed to proceed for intelligence gathering purposes. Warning: immediate danger level elevated. "He knows," Rimuru said. "Either he's been tracking Dooku or—" The first blaster shot answered his unfinished question. Rimuru's enhanced reflexes kicked in instantly. He threw up a magic barrier, a shimmering wall of compressed air that deflected the crimson bolts into nearby walls. The Senate Guard's speeders split up, trying to flank them from multiple angles. "They're not trying to capture us," Soe observed, his hands already moving in combat signs. "These are kill shots." "Inconvenient," Diablo said, his form beginning to shimmer with dark energy. "My lord, permission to respond with extreme prejudice." "Non-lethal, if possible," Rimuru ordered, even as he began analyzing the attackers. "These are Republic soldiers, not Sith. They might be following orders without knowing who Palpatine really is." Analyzing attackers. Senate Guard neural patterns show biochemical loyalty conditioning, subliminal programming, fanatical devotion to Supreme Chancellor. Classification: heavily indoctrinated. Probability of surrender or reason: 3.2%. Probability of fighting to death: 94.8%. Recommendation: treat as hostile combatants with no expectation of mercy or surrender. "They're programmed like the clones," Rimuru realized with horror. "Palpatine's been conditioning his personal guards the same way. They'll fight until they're dead." More blasters opened fire. Rimuru dodged, his body moving faster than normal humans could track. He reached out with his magic, creating localized gravity wells that pulled 2 speeders together in a spectacular collision. The guards ejected before impact, landing on surrounding rooftops and continuing their assault without hesitation. Diablo moved like liquid shadow, appearing behind one guard and delivering a precise strike to the base of his skull, non-lethal but instantly incapacitating. Another guard turned his weapon on the Demon Lord, only to find his blaster disintegrating in his hands, consumed by dark energy. Fascinating, Diablo murmured as he disabled another attacker. Their minds are locked. I cannot inspire the usual fear because they literally cannot feel it. The conditioning has overridden their survival instincts. So we engaged 3 guards simultaneously, his daggers flashing in precise, controlled strikes. Each guard dropped, unconscious but alive. Lord Rimuru, we need to leave. This attack will draw Jedi attention, and if Palpatine's guards are found attacking us, it will force a confrontation before we're ready. Rimuru knew Sway was right. They needed to retreat, to preserve the fiction that everything was still under control while they gathered evidence. But something bothered him about this attack. It was too overt, too public. Notice, analyzing attack pattern, observation, guards are herding analysis subject and companions toward specific location. Current trajectory if evading attackers will lead to Senate District Plaza, heavily monitored area with multiple surveillance systems. Conclusion: attack is designed to force subjects into public incident on camera. Probable goal: create justification for arrest or elimination of interdimensional visitors on charges of attacking Republic forces. It's a setup, Rimuru said urgently. They're driving us toward surveillance cameras. If we're caught on holovid fighting Republic guards, Palpatine can spin it however he wants. Then we don't go where they want us to, Diablo said simply. He raised his hand, and the air itself seemed to darken. Shadows pooled beneath them, spreading like spilled ink. Hold on, my lord. Shadow step is disorienting for passengers. The world twisted. Reality bent around them as Diablo pulled them through the space between spaces, using shadows as a pathway. It lasted only seconds, but felt like falling through ice water, cold, disorienting, fundamentally wrong on a sensory level. They emerged on a completely different landing platform, miles away from the ambush site. Rimuru stumbled slightly, his enhanced physiology already recovering from the dimensional displacement. Zoe appeared completely unaffected, while Diablo looked positively pleased with himself. Apologies for the rough transition, my lord. Shadow walking across unfamiliar dimensions requires more energy than usual, but we've successfully evaded pursuit. Location confirmed. Industrial Sector 7, approximately 12 kilometers from ambush site. Pursuers lost. No active surveillance detected in immediate area. Physiological status: all subjects stable. Data chip secure. Good work, Rimuru said, pulling out his comm. Now let's get back to the temple before Palpatine sends something worse than Senate guards. But even as he said it, Rimuru felt a chill run down his spine. Somewhere in this massive city, Darth Sidious sat in his office, watching his plans shift and adapt. The Sith Lord had just made his first overt move against them, which meant the Shadow War was rapidly becoming a real one. And somewhere in the darkness of space, General Grievous's flagship adjusted its course toward Coruscant, its commander eagerly anticipating the hunt. Back at the Jedi Temple, in the same war room where they'd planned their investigation, Rimuru placed Dooku's data chip on the table. The assembled Jedi, Yoda, Mace, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka, stared at it as if it were a thermal detonator. Count Dooku, Mace said slowly, willingly gave you intelligence on Palpatine because he learned his master plans to have him killed. That's the summary, yes, Rimuru confirmed. Raphael's analyzed his statements and found them mostly truthful. He's genuinely been betrayed and wants revenge. Trusting a Sith Lord, Obi-Wan muttered. This is how bad situations become catastrophic situations. We're not trusting him, Rimuru clarified. We're verifying his intelligence and using it if it proves accurate. Big difference. Yoda closed his eyes, reaching out with the Force. Clouded, everything remains, but sense a shift, I do. Desperation insidious, perhaps, or confidence that his endgame approaches. Raphael, Rimuru said aloud, begin full analysis of the data chip. I want everything. Verification of claims, hidden code, embedded trackers, the works. Acknowledged. Commencing comprehensive analysis. Estimated time, 47 minutes. Preliminary scan shows 2.3 terabytes of data, including separatist battle plans, Republic Senate voting records with notations, clone inhibitor chip technical specifications, scheduled timeline for Order 66 execution, communication logs between Palpatine and Dooku, spanning 9.7 years, financial records linking Republic senators to separatist funding, location data for Sith artifacts and strongholds. Initial assessment, data appears genuine, detailed verification in progress. While Raphael worked, Rimuru recounted the Senate Guard ambush in detail. The Jedi's expressions grew progressively darker. He's escalating, Anakin said. If Palpatine's willing to have his own guards attack you in public, he must be getting desperate. Or confident, Ahsoka countered. Maybe he thinks he's strong enough now to move openly. Either way, Mace said grimly, we're running out of time. If Order 66 is really scheduled for 3 weeks from now, during the siege of Mandalore, we have less than a month to stop it. The siege of Mandalore, Obi-Wan repeated. That's when most of the Jedi will be deployed across the galaxy, spread thin, commanding clone battalions far from Coruscant, the perfect moment to trigger the purge. Analysis complete, verification successful on 97.3% of data points, remaining 2.7% unverifiable due to lack of baseline comparison data. Conclusion, intelligence provided by Count Dooku is authentic, high confidence assessment, notable findings, Order 66 activation phrase confirmed as Execute Order 66. Inhibitor chip override codes verified against extracted chip samples. Palpatine's Mustafar Fortress coordinates match stellar cartography. Recommendation, treat intelligence as genuine and act accordingly. It's real, Rimuru announced. All of it. Dooku told us the truth. The room erupted into urgent discussion. Strategies, contingencies, debates about how to use this information without triggering Palpatine's response. But through it all, Rimuru felt the weight of what they were planning. They were going to war with a Sith Lord who controlled the Republic, and the clock was ticking. The clone barracks on Coruscant's military district operated with mechanical precision. Rows of identical bunks, identical armor stations, identical soldiers created from the same genetic template. But Rimuru had learned in his short time observing them that the clones were far from identical where it mattered. In their minds, their personalities, their souls. Commander Cody stood at attention in the briefing room, flanked by Captain Rex, Commander Bly, and Commander Wolf. 4 of the Republic's most decorated clone commanders, each one responsible for hundreds of men, each one carrying an inhibitor chip programmed to turn them into Jedi killers. With all due respect, General Kenobi, Cody said carefully, you're asking us to believe that the Supreme Chancellor, the leader of the Republic we've been fighting and dying for, is secretly a Sith Lord who's programmed us to murder the Jedi on command. I know how it sounds, Obi-Wan replied. He stood beside Rimuru and the Jedi Council, in a secure room swept for listening devices. Believe me, Cody, I struggled with this information myself, but the evidence is overwhelming. Rimuru activated a holographic display showing the technical specifications Dooku had provided. These are inhibitor chips. Every clone in the Republic military has one implanted at birth. You were told they prevent aggressive behavior and ensure unit cohesion. That's partially true. But they also contain embedded programming, 150 contingency orders that can override your free will with a single verbal command. Rex leaned forward, his blue-painted helmet tucked under his arm. His face, identical to millions of others, yet somehow uniquely his own through scars and expression, showed deep concern. Order 66. Execute the Jedi. We've seen the documentation now. It's real. Sir, Wolf said, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the display, are you saying we're walking time bombs? That at any moment we could turn on you? Not could, Ahsoka said quietly. She stood near Anakin, her arms wrapped around herself. Will. According to this data, when the order is given, you won't have a choice. The chip will force compliance. Commander Bly, who had served under Aayla Secura for years, looked like someone had punched him in the gut. I would never hurt General Secura. We've saved each other's lives dozens of times. She trusts me. And that trust makes you the perfect weapon, Diablo observed from the shadows. The deepest betrayals always come from those we trust most. It's basic psychology. A stranger attempting assassination, suspicious, avoidable. A loyal soldier you've fought beside for years, no warning at all. That's enough, Diablo, Rimuru said firmly, though the Demon Lord was right. He turned back to the commanders. We're not here to make you feel guilty about something you haven't done and didn't choose. We're here because we want to stop it from ever happening. We have the technical specifications to remove or disable the chips. But we need your help. Cody's expression was conflicted, duty warring with horror, loyalty battling against the evidence before his eyes. Sir, even if we believe you, and I'm not saying I don't, there are 3 million clones in active service. We can't possibly remove all the chips before this Order 66 is triggered. Correct assessment, viable strategies given time constraints. 1. Prioritize removal for clone commanders and specialized units. Estimated 50,000 individuals requiring 3,200 surgical hours with parallel operations. 2. Develop technological countermeasure to disable chips remotely. Probability of success 67.4%. Development time 8 to 12 days. 3. Prevent Order 66 activation by eliminating Supreme Chancellor. High risk, severe political consequences. 4. Warn all clones of chip existence and rely on individual resistance. Success rate estimated at 23.7% based on previous analysis. We focus on key personnel first, Rimuru said. Commanders, special forces, anyone in direct contact with Jedi. We also work on a technological solution. If Raphael can develop a jamming signal or override code, we might be able to disable multiple chips simultaneously. And if we can't do it in time? Rex asked. Mace Windu's expression was grave. Then we evacuate as many Jedi as possible. When we sense the order is about to be given, we scatter, hide, survive, and we pray to the Force that enough clones resist the programming to give us a fighting chance. No. Anakin's voice cut through the room like a blade. We don't run. We don't hide. We end this now. We arrest Palpatine, expose him as Sidious, and remove the threat before he can trigger anything. On what legal grounds? Obi-Wan challenged. We have evidence, yes, but it's all provided by Count Dooku, a known traitor and separatist leader. Any prosecutor would argue it's fabricated to destabilize the Republic. We need more than data chips and analytical readings. We need proof the Senate will accept. Then we get it. Anakin's frustration was palpable. Break into his office, his private residence, find evidence of his Sith activities. Illegal search and seizure, Mace interrupted. Anything we found would be inadmissible. Worse, it would prove to the Senate that the Jedi are operating outside the law, which is exactly the narrative Sidious wants. Yoda tapped his stick against the floor. Trapped we are in a web of legality and propriety. While we debate law, the darkness grows, a choice we must make between what is legal and what is right. The room fell silent at that. The ancient Jedi Master had just suggested the unthinkable, that the Jedi might need to operate outside the law they'd sworn to uphold. Commander Cody broke the tension. Generals, if you're serious about removing these chips, we need to start immediately. I volunteer to go first. If the procedure works, I'll help convince the other commanders. I'm in, Rex said immediately. Captain's prerogative. Wolf and Bly exchanged glances, then nodded. We'll need to maintain operational security, Wolf said. If word gets out that clones are having their inhibitor chips removed, Palpatine might trigger Order 66 early. Agreed, Rimuru said. We'll conduct the procedures here in the temple's medical wing. Small groups. Official cover story of health screenings. Shuna will assist. Her healing magic can reduce surgery time and ensure perfect recovery. Over the next 3 hours, they established a protocol. Shuna, working with Jedi healers and Republic medical droids, developed a surgical procedure that could safely extract the inhibitor chips in under 40 minutes per clone. The removed chips would be studied by Raphael to develop the technological countermeasure. By dawn, they'd successfully extracted chips from all 4 commanders and 10 additional clones from their units. Each soldier woke from the procedure with tears in their eyes, some from relief, others from rage at what had been done to them. They violated us, Rex said quietly as he sat in the recovery room, a Bacta patch covering the small incision at the base of his skull. Before we were even born, they turned us into weapons aimed at our own generals. How is that different from what the Separatists do to their battle droids? It's not, Rimuru said honestly. He sat across from Rex, his expression sympathetic. You were created to be tools, not people. But here's what matters. You're proving you're more than your programming. You're choosing to fight against your conditioning, to protect those you care about. That makes you more human than most humans I've met. Rex looked up, and there was fierce determination in his eyes. When we stop Palpatine, and we will stop him, what happens to the clone army? We were created for war. What do we do when there's peace? Whatever you want, Rimuru said simply. In my nation, we have soldiers who became teachers, farmers, craftsmen, warriors who found new purposes. You're not defined by what you were made for. You're defined by what you choose to become. I'd like to see this nation of yours someday, Rex said with a slight smile. If we ever figure out how to get home, you're invited. Their moment of connection was interrupted by Soe materializing from the ceiling, literally dropping from the shadows above and causing every clone in the recovery room to reach for weapons that weren't there. Lord Rimuru, the ninja said urgently, Diablo's intelligence network has discovered something. You need to hear this immediately. In the war room once again, Rimuru was beginning to think of this chamber as their home base. Diablo stood before a holographic display showing faces, locations, and connection lines that mapped out a conspiracy within a conspiracy. "My network has been quite productive," Diablo reported with evident satisfaction. "I've identified 47 Republic senators who are on Palpatine's covert payroll, 23 corporate executives who funnel money to both the Republic and separatist war efforts, and most interestingly," he manipulated the display, zooming in on a particular face. "This individual." The hologram showed a nondescript human man in bureaucrat's robes. Nothing about him seemed remarkable. "That's Sly Moore," Obi-Wan said, "Palpatine's senior administrative aide. She's been with him for years." "She's also an Umbaran," Diablo said, "a species naturally gifted in mental manipulation and misdirection. I believe she's force-sensitive, though untrained. Palpatine has been using her to subtly influence senators during private meetings, planting suggestions, altering memories, ensuring loyalty. Analysis confirms Subject Moore exhibits behavioral patterns consistent with force-based mental manipulation. Cross-referencing voting records with her meeting schedules shows 94.7% correlation between personal meetings and subsequent votes favoring Palpatine's agenda. Conclusion: subject is key component of Palpatine's control structure. "If we can capture her," Mace said slowly, "she might testify against Palpatine. An insider witness would be invaluable." "Provided she doesn't erase her own memory first," Diablo noted. "Umbarans are notorious for having contingency plans, but yes, she's a valuable target." Veldora, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly spoke up. "I've been researching your Jedi history. There's something that bothers me. According to your archives, the Sith were supposed to be extinct for 1,000 years, yet Palpatine has been operating openly as Chancellor for over a decade. How did the entire Jedi Order not sense him?" It was a question that had clearly troubled the Jedi themselves. Yoda's ears drooped. "Arrogant we were," the ancient master admitted. "Believed our own legends, thought the Sith so weakened they could never return. And when they did return, hidden they remained. The dark side clouds everything, creates a veil we cannot pierce. Only now, with your help, see through that veil we can." "Actually," Rimuru said slowly, an idea forming. "Raphael's been analyzing the Force since we arrived. The clouding effect you describe, it's not natural. It's being actively generated." "Correct. The Force exhibits localized distortion patterns consistent with intentional manipulation. Source: approximately 87% probability that Supreme Chancellor's office contains force-based artifact or technique generating sensory interference. Effect: dulls force-sensitive perception within 15-kilometer radius of source. All Jedi operating on Coruscant affected to varying degrees. Recommendation: neutralize interference source to restore full Jedi sensory capabilities." "He's been blinding you," Benamaru realized. "From the beginning, some kind of Sith artifact that makes the Force itself unreliable around him." Mace stood abruptly. "If we could destroy that artifact, remove the interference, we might be able to sense Palpatine's true nature through the Force," Obi-Wan finished. "Proof that even the Jedi Council couldn't deny." "It would also alert him that we're on to him," Anakin pointed out. "He already knows," Ahsoka countered. "After the Senate Guard attack, after Dooku's meeting with Rimuru, there's no way Palpatine thinks we're still ignorant. He's just waiting to see what we do next." A chime interrupted them, someone requesting access to the war room. Mace checked the security panel and frowned. "It's Senator Amidala. She says it's urgent." Anakin's face went pale. "Padme? What's she doing here?" "Let her in," Yoda decided. The doors opened and Padme Amidala swept in with the grace and authority of Naboo's former queen. But her expression was troubled and she carried a data pad that she immediately handed to Mace. "Masters, Lord Rimuru, forgive the intrusion, but I've just received intelligence from my contacts in the Senate that you need to see immediately. The Chancellor is calling an emergency session tomorrow. He's going to propose a constitutional amendment that would grant him permanent executive authority for the duration of the crisis and beyond." "He's making himself emperor," Obi-Wan said, his voice hollow. "Now, not after Order 66. Now." Padme nodded grimly. "And he has the votes. I've been counting between legitimate supporters, compromised senators, and those he's blackmailed or bribed. He'll pass this amendment by a significant margin. The Republic will end tomorrow and we won't even realize it's happened." Alert, analyzing political timeline. Conclusion, Subject Palpatine is accelerating plans in response to perceived threat from interdimensional visitors. Original timeline called for Order 66 during Mandalore siege in 3 weeks. New timeline, constitutional amendment tomorrow, likely Order 66 activation within 24-72 hours. Time remaining to prevent catastrophe, critical. "He's moving up the timeline," Rimuru said urgently, "because of us. Because we're a variable he can't control. He's going to consolidate power and purge the Jedi before we can stop him." "Then we act tonight," Mace said, his voice carrying absolute conviction. "We gather the evidence we need and we confront Palpatine before that Senate session. If we can expose him publicly." "In the middle of Senate chambers with thousands of witnesses," Padme added. "He couldn't disappear or deflect. He'd have to respond." "It's a trap," Diablo observed. "He wants us to act rashly, to appear as the aggressors. The moment we enter that Senate chamber making accusations, we play into his hands." "Then we don't make accusations," Rimuru said, an idea crystallizing. "We make him reveal himself. Padme, can you arrange for holovid cameras to be present at the session? Maximum coverage?" "Of course. It's a constitutional amendment. The media will demand access." "Good." Rimuru looked around the room at the assembled Jedi, clones, and his own companions. "Here's what we do. We let Palpatine call his session. We let him make his proposal. And then, in front of the entire galaxy, we present evidence of his Sith activities. Not accusations, evidence, data, recordings, testimonies. We force him to either deny it and be proven a liar, or reveal his true nature defending himself." "And when he attacks?" Benimaru asked. "Because he will attack. A cornered Sith Lord won't go quietly." "Then we'll be ready," Rimuru said. "All of us. Jedi, clones with their chips removed, my entire team. We turn his trap into ours. He thinks he's hunting us. We let him believe that, right up until the moment we spring our own trap." Yoda studied Rimuru for a long moment, those ancient eyes weighing and measuring. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Risky, this plan is. Dangerous beyond measure. But out of options we are. The Force itself seems to say, now or never. Tomorrow the fate of the galaxy will be decided." "Then we'd better spend tonight preparing," Mace said. "Obi-Wan, gather every Jedi currently on Coruscant. Ahsoka, coordinate with the clones. I want every soldier we've removed chips from ready to move. Anakin, He paused, studying the young Jedi carefully. "I need you to visit the Chancellor tonight, one last time. Keep him distracted while we prepare." Anakin's expression was conflicted, but he nodded. "What do I tell him?" "Tell him you're confused," Obi-Wan suggested. "That you've heard disturbing rumors about the Jedi plotting against him. Make him think you're uncertain where your loyalties lie. Keep him talking, keep him confident, and whatever you do, don't let him turn me," Anakin finished. "I know, but Master, what if he tries? What if he offers me? What if he makes it sound reasonable?" Rimuru placed a hand on Anakin's shoulder. "Then remember why you're really a Jedi, not because of destiny or prophecy or power, because you want to help people, because you've seen what tyranny does to the innocent, and you've sworn to stand against it. If Palpatine tries to corrupt you, remember the slaves on Tatooine. Remember the clones fighting for freedom they've never known. Remember everyone counting on you to be better than your fears." Anakin took a deep breath and nodded. "I won't let you down, any of you." As the meeting dispersed, everyone moving to their assigned tasks, Rimuru found himself standing with Yoda on one of the temple's observation platforms. The sun was setting over Coruscant, painting the endless city in shades of orange and red. "Worried you are," Yoda observed. "We're gambling the fate of your entire galaxy on a single moment," Rimuru admitted. "If this goes wrong, if Palpatine triggers Order 66 before we expose him, if he escapes, if we can't prove what he is, billions will die, entire worlds will burn, and it'll be my fault for pushing us to act." "Blame yourself. You should not," Yoda said gently. "Decades Sidious has planned. Years we Jedi missed the signs. Hours we now have to undo the damage. Perfect no plan can be. But try we must, because not trying, that is the only certain failure." Rimuru thought about Tempest, about all the times he'd faced impossible odds and somehow found a way through. He thought about Shizu's dying wish, about the children he'd saved, about the nation he'd built from nothing. "Master Yoda," he said quietly, "in my universe, I died. I was just a normal human, killed in a random attack, reborn as a slime monster. I built a nation of monsters that everyone said was impossible. I defeated demon lords and fought primordial beings. And through all of it, I learned one thing. The impossible just takes a little longer." Yoda chuckled, a sound like old paper rustling. "Wise you are, powerful beyond measure, but also young, still learning. Tomorrow learn you will what it means to face true darkness, to stand against evil that has had centuries to refine its cruelty." He looked up at Rimuru, and those ancient eyes held both sadness and hope. "Ready, are you?" Rimuru looked out at the city where, somewhere, a Sith Lord was preparing his endgame, where millions of clones carried death in their heads, where a republic was about to vote itself into tyranny. "I don't know," he admitted honestly, "but ready or not, tomorrow we find out." Far above Coruscant, General Grievous's flagship, the Invisible Hand, dropped out of hyperspace. The cyborg general stood in his command center, his 4 arms hanging loose at his sides, his mechanical breathing echoing through the chamber. "Status," he rasped. "We've entered orbit undetected, General," a tactical droid reported. "The Jedi Temple is within targeting range. Shall we commence bombardment?" "No." Grievous's vocabulator made the word sound like grinding metal. "Lord Sidious has given specific orders. The interdimensional visitors are mine to kill personally. I will drop to the surface with my Magna Guards and elite droids. We strike tonight, during the confusion of their preparations. We make it look like a separatist raid, chaotic, brutal, overwhelming. He pulled out a lightsaber, one of dozens he'd collected from dead Jedi, and ignited it. The blue blade cast harsh shadows across his skeletal face. "I've killed 47 Jedi," Grievous said, a strange pride in his synthetic voice. "Tomorrow I add interdimensional demons to my collection. Let's see how well they fight when they're drowning in battle droids." And in his office, sitting alone in the dark, Palpatine smiled. Everything was proceeding exactly as he'd foreseen. The Jedi would come to him. The visitors would reveal themselves. And tomorrow, before the entire galaxy, he would demonstrate what happens to those who challenge a Dark Lord of the Sith. "Lord Rimuru," he whispered to the darkness, "I do hope you're ready, because tomorrow I'm going to teach you why the Sith have survived for millennia, while countless others have fallen to dust." He pressed a hidden button on his desk. Across the galaxy, contingency plans activated. Sleeper agents woke, hidden weapons came online. And in the cloning facilities of Camino, a certain protocol was quietly moved from standby to active status. The endgame had begun. The Jedi Temple's windows exploded inward at 0300 hours. Rimuru woke instantly, his enhanced senses screaming danger before his conscious mind fully registered the alarm klaxons. Glass rained down like deadly snowflakes as dark shapes poured through the breached walls. Battle droids by the dozens, their weapons already firing. "Contact!" someone shouted in the corridor. "We're under attack." "Alert! Hostile forces detected. Count 247 combat droids, 12 Magna Guards, 1 primary combatant signature, classified as General Grievous. Attack vectors, simultaneous breach across 14 temple locations. Objective assessment, decapitation strike targeting leadership. Estimated casualties if uncontested, 89% of temple occupants. Recommendation, immediate defensive action." Rimuru rolled out of bed, already shifting to combat mode. His door burst open, not from enemies but from Benimaru, wreathed in flames, his expression deadly serious. "Lord Rimuru, separatist assault. Grievous is here with a full strike force. They're targeting the dormitories and war rooms. They know exactly where everyone is sleeping." "How?" Rimuru demanded, even as they ran toward the sounds of combat. "How did they get past temple security?" "Inside information." Diablo's voice came from the shadows as he materialized beside them. "Someone told them our exact positions. Someone gave them the temple's security codes." His golden eyes gleamed with fury. "Someone betrayed us." They rounded a corner into chaos. A squad of B-2 super battle droids was advancing down the corridor, their wrist rockets and blaster cannons tearing apart walls and floors. Young Jedi Padawans, children barely into their teens, were trying to hold them back with lightsabers, but they were outgunned and terrified. Rimuru didn't hesitate. Black lightning, purple-black electricity arced from his hands. Not the crude lightning of technology, but magical energy that sought out mechanical components with vicious precision. Every droid in the corridor seized up, their circuits frying, their photoreceptors exploding. They collapsed in smoking heaps. "Get to the safe rooms," Benimaru commanded the Padawans. "Move, now!" "But Master Windu said," one young Twi'lek girl started. "I don't care what Master Windu said." Benimaru's voice carried absolute authority. "Your job is to survive. Go." The children ran. Rimuru and his companions pressed forward, following the sounds of intensifying combat towards the main temple atrium, What they found there was a battlefield. General Grievous stood at the center of the carnage like a skeletal god of war. 4 lightsabers spun in his 4 hands, blue, green, yellow, and purple, each one stolen from a Jedi he'd killed. He moved with terrible grace, his mechanical body capable of attacks no organic being could execute. Around him, Magna Guards and Destroyer droids formed a protective perimeter, while waves of standard battle droids pushed deeper into the temple. Arrayed against him were the Jedi. Mace Windu's purple blade blazed as he deflected blaster fire with preternatural skill. Obi-Wan and Anakin fought back-to-back, their partnership evident in every synchronized move. Kit Fisto's tentacles whipped around him as his green blade carved through droid after droid, and Yoda, ancient, small, and absolutely terrifying, became a green blur of motion, his lightsaber moving too fast for the eye to follow. But it wasn't enough. The droids kept coming, and Grievous was a master of lightsaber combat who fought with no honor, no hesitation, and absolutely no mercy. "Jedi scum!" Grievous's mechanical voice boomed across the atrium. "Your temple burns tonight. Lord Sidious sends his regards." He lunged at Kit Fisto with impossible speed, all 4 lightsabers striking from different angles. The Nautolan Jedi barely managed to parry, driven back by the sheer ferocity of the assault. Then Veldora crashed through the ceiling. The true dragon had transformed mid-flight, his massive draconic form smashing through ancient stonework like it was paper. He landed in the middle of the droid formation with earth-shaking force, and the shockwave alone destroyed dozens of battle droids. "Grievous!" Veldora's voice shook the walls. "I've been reading about you, the feared cyborg general, the Jedi killer, finally a worthy opponent." He shifted back to humanoid form, his storm dragon aura crackling around him like violent weather. "Let's see if you're as dangerous as your reputation suggests." Grievous turned all 4 lightsabers toward this new threat. For a moment there was silence as the cyborg general assessed the being before him. Then he laughed, a horrible mechanical sound. "You are not in my combat database, no matter. I will add your parts to my collection." He attacked with blinding speed. But Veldora was a catastrophe-class being who'd fought demon lords and lived for centuries. He caught 2 of Grievous's lightsaber strikes on materialized storm dragon claws, superheated energy meeting conceptual force, while dodging the other 2 with casual grace. "Oh, you're fast!" Veldora laughed with genuine delight. "But I've fought faster. Let me show you something interesting." He released a burst of probability manipulation, his unique skill that made unlikely outcomes reality. Grievous's next strike, perfectly calculated, impossible to avoid, somehow missed completely as the cyborg's mechanical leg seized up for exactly 0.3 seconds. Off balance, Grievous was forced to leap back, his photoreceptor eyes widening slightly. What did you do?" "Magic," Veldora declared cheerfully. "Or, as you would understand it, I made your 0.01% chance of mechanical failure into a 100% certainty. Neat trick, right?" While Veldora engaged Grievous, Rimuru and the others tore through the droid forces with systematic efficiency. Benimaru's flames turned battle droids into molten slag. Diablo moved through the ranks like a shadow, each touch leaving deactivated machines in his wake. Shion's sword cleaved through Magna Guards with raw power that made lightsabers look subtle. But Rimuru's attention was divided. Something about this attack felt wrong. Analysis in progress. Observation. Attack is tactically sound but strategically questionable. Separatists gain minimal advantage from temple raid. Risk versus reward ratio, unfavorable. Conclusion, this attack serves purpose beyond military objectives. Probable goals: 1. Distraction from primary operation elsewhere. 2. Provocation designed to force Jedi into hasty action. 3. Test of interdimensional visitors' combat capabilities. 4. Assassination of specific high-value targets. This is a distraction, Rimuru realized aloud. Raphael, where's Palpatine right now? Tracking. Supreme Chancellor's location. Senate building. Private chambers. Status: active. Multiple encrypted communications detected in last 30 minutes. Recipients: unknown. Warning: Chancellor is coordinating something during this attack. He's using this as cover, Rimuru shouted to Mace Windu over the sounds of combat. Whatever Palpatine's planning, he's doing it now, while we're busy here. Mace cut down 3 droids with a single sweeping strike. Then we end this quickly. Masters, form up. Battle meditation. Now,